and support to all those affected. So again, that's a statement from TMH on this shooting on FSU's campus. That alert coming out about the shooting at 12:01 today.
That's right. And we've got Cody Butler and Jacob Murphy there. Cody Butler is on Dewey in Tennessee, and Jacob is at Woodward in Tennessee. We are going to go to a live shot from Dewey in Tennessee right now, where Cody Butler is, and see what is going on there. We see students crossing there at that crosswalk, and you can see the heavy, the police presence, the law enforcement presence there, and they are just trying to get, it looks like what they're trying to do is get these students away from campus right now. So we can see them exiting the campus, crossing the street, right there on Tennessee Street. And that's what, Jacob had said, that the students are just trying to get as far away from campus as possible right now.
As they should, and as they've been instructed to do. And they look calm. That is a good thing about it. They're doing it calmly.
Yes.
I'm sure this is scary for so many people out there.
Yes.
Jacob did mention earlier seeing some students, they had the frightened look on their face, but it doesn't seem, at least in these moments after everything happening, that they aren't frantic. No panic as far as people just running and going crazy. They are getting away safely, but they seem to be doing it calmly. And of course, plenty of law enforcement out there and people being escorted. So that's a good thing. They're getting away from that area. And as far as traffic is concerned, anyone driving, the streets have been blocked off for some time shortly after all of this happened. So of course, if you're not in that area, you are urged to please stay away. And then those who are already there, they are being calmly escorted away from that area.
Exactly. And Leon County Schools, we have an update here. The update says that we understand the feeling you have. This is for parents to immediately head to your school to pick up your child. Please be patient as our schools manage our response. Now, it says at this time, our schools are on lockout. And at this time, high schools are still planning to dismiss at 1:50 p.m. All right?
Yes, lockout typically means, anyone who's on the outside.
Right.
They're not allowed to come in. So, but you mentioned the statement does say they're doing regular dismissal.
Yes, at 1:50.
On lockout. Okay, 1:50.
High schools are planning to dismiss at 1:50 p.m. and the schools do remain on lockout at this time.
Yes, at this time. So parents, of course, stay updated, be aware of what's going on, but they're asking you to, please don't panic and just try to stay away until that dismissal time.
Yes, and we're awaiting information on what the latest is on the shooter.
That's correct.
Because, of course, at this time, we're not sure, and so everyone is extremely concerned. And it is still an active situation, but we're not sure if the shooter has, they have him in custody or not. So as soon as we get that information, of course, we will get that to you.
And it's understandable for people to be a little, scared at this moment.
Oh, yeah.
There are still plenty of questions that need to be answered, and we're definitely working on that for you, trying to get as much information as possible. And as you can see, we're back at our live pictures right there, our live video showing the area near Florida State's campus. Still very active, plenty of law enforcement on the scene, and you see some of these vehicles rolling out. So still a lot going on. They haven't said anything about the suspect, but very active. They've been working on getting people out of that area, and they may be relocating at the time, but this is Tennessee Street, so still plenty of law enforcement officers and several different agencies at that. So we know that there have at least been, FSU police, the Tallahassee police, FWC, FDLE, so several different agencies on the scene at this time.
Yes, I am getting some text from people, and it is not confirmed that they did see someone in shackles. So I do not know if that is the shooter that we're talking about, but I'm getting a few texts right now about that. So we will certainly update you as soon as any information on that is confirmed. Now, in the meantime, we have Jacob Murphy, who is at Woodward in Tennessee. We've got Cody Butler at Dewey in Tennessee. giving us the latest updates from the scene and what is going on as they are now, looks like, kind of evacuating very calmly students from campus.
That's right. And our Stacy Inez is also, she'll be on the scene as well. So we have several different crews. We're trying to go in different areas so that we can make sure to find out as much as possible, as soon as possible. Now, FSU has sent out another alert, so we'll put that on the screen.
Oh, this is from TMH, right?
Oh, a TMH alert, yes. So this is their alert from about some time ago.
Yeah, they say they're actively, you know, caring for patients right now, and that they are, you know, just asking for people's kind of patience while they do the very best job, certainly that they can. We've got this FSU alert. It just continues to say, it just says continue to shelter in place. Police have responded to an active shooter call at the student union, and they're just asking people to stay alert for more information. You know, Jacob Murphy, Cody Butler, they are on the scene right now. They are working to speak with people and get the latest information. So we're not going to go live to them for another little while, just so they can gather as much information for us as possible regarding this shooter situation.
Yes, now that alert that we have on screen right now, that was about 30 minutes ago. The university sent it out. So that is the latest alert that they've sent out. So they continue to follow this situation and just saying, stay alert. But, you know, shelter in place. You know, you want to stay safe, stay where you are, be inside, no need to be out, and definitely don't go to the area. But, of course, be aware, stay alert. We will definitely pass along any new information we get. We have our crews out there. They're talking to people, getting the latest information, and we'll definitely pass it on as soon as we know.
And also, you know, FSU did send an update to people who are on campus who are just saying continue to shelter in place. If the police come in, they will use a safe word to indicate that it is safe to open the doors, which obviously we won't repeat that safe word. Right. But, you know, unless someone uses a safe word, do not open any doors.
That's right. Be vigilant, be aware, stay alert, make sure you do have everything you need to have the latest information. We'll have those alerts going out. Of course, we have information posted on WCTV.tv for those of you who can't stay with us here on air. We have our news app that is always free. We have the QR code on the screen right now, so it is very easy to download. You can just take your phone out right now and download our WCTV News app. You get all the alerts right away, any information you need by scanning that code on your screen, or you can just go directly to our website, WCTV.tv. Again, it's free and easy to download.
It certainly is. All right, we've got Jacob Murphy. They are at FSU along with Cody Butler. They are getting any information they can at this point about the latest on this situation. You know, asking people to please stay away from that area. Again, it is heavy, heavy law enforcement presence. The streets are closed off, and it looked like the latest thing we saw is that the students are leaving campus right now so they can continue their investigation.
That's right. Classes are closed for the rest of the day. As far as victims are concerned, we have been told that there are at least 4. We confirmed those 4 victims. Earlier, as soon as this happened, you know, around noon, we were told that 4 victims were taken to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. Our Cody Butler, who's out there on the scene, he noticed at least 2 ambulances in that area. He was on Dewey and Tennessee Street, so we're not sure, you know, what's going on with that, but TMH did confirm at least 4. We do not know their condition. We do not know what happened to them, but they say they are caring for those victims. And TMH also assured the community that they are ready for anything that comes their way, that they can help anybody that needs help during this time.
That's right. And TMH does say at this time the details are still unfolding. They do not have any specific information to share. All right, we are going to go back to Jacob Murphy. He is at Woodward and Tennessee, very close to the student union where this all happened. Let's take a listen.
It was terrible. Yes.
You were kind of spread out, getting different lunch items.
My daughter was waiting at the table. We were looking at the menu, and I couldn't believe it. Like, shots started. It was surreal. And people just started running. She got trampled over. We went through like an exit door, ran down a hall, and all the doors were locked except one going up a flight of stairs to exit. And we didn't think that would be a good idea, but there was about 70 of us or 50 of us in that, and we were just like trapped, like
so when
felt
did you
trapped.
get out of the union?
We went in the service elevator. There's about 50 of us in the elevator, and we went upstairs. And that was probably the scariest point because we didn't know, it could get worse, right? The doors open and, 2 officers were there, guns drawn, yelled, "Did you see anything?" We're like, "No." "How do we get out?" They pointed that way, and just the adrenaline. We got outside, and just here we are. We ended up in a church across the street here.
What was that moment like when the 4 of you were here and you knew you were safe?
Just like
Really?
nothing you've ever felt before, or you could even explain. It's hard to explain. I mean, we're just blessed. I mean, how we got out of there, I can't, it's kind of surreal being at the church because God was watching over us. I mean, definitely we could have went really bad. I hope all the people pray for their families and that they're okay. We don't know much right now, but
All right, anything else? Covers it. Thank you so much. I know that's not easy. We don't know what to
Jacob Murphy there talking to a man who I got caught off a little bit. He was in the student union with his daughter, and when the shooting started, they tried to escape. The doors were locked. He said that everyone was rushing and she was kind of trampled. They got into an elevator, and there was about 50 people in that elevator, and they were scared to death. And once the elevator doors did open, law enforcement was there, guns drawn, helped them get outside.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And that does seem a tad bit reminiscent of the 2014 shooting on campus. We remember seeing so many videos of people being inside in Stroger Library. That's where that 2014 shooting happened. But you can see the people inside. All right, and we actually have some video of the student. Let's go ahead and take that video.
I just hope everyone's okay, praying for the people that are injured, and I just hope we can do better in the future.
Yeah, students, this is extremely traumatic, and they're just trying to get these students off of campus. The students Jacob talked to earlier, all they want to do is just leave campus, and let law enforcement do what they need to do in this situation. All right, if you are just tuning in now, this is what's going on. There has been, of course, a very dangerous active shooter situation at FSU today. 4 people are at TMH, at least hospitalized. TMH is caring for them now. The school is on lockdown. Police are on the scene, a huge law enforcement presence. We've been talking to people who were there and experienced this tragic event this afternoon. So Jacob Murphy is at Woodward in Tennessee, talking to people now, trying to assess, what's happened. We've got Cody Butler at Dewey in Tennessee doing the same thing, and we are bringing you the latest updates, live updates with this shooting situation at FSU.
Yes, FSU authorities, they are asking everyone to shelter in place, continue to stay where you are and be safe. Those who are leaving campus, they do have a lot of law enforcement officers in the area, and then we saw some walking some people out. So far, it seems most people are staying calm. I'm sure in the moments, though, it was not a calm situation. We've heard from some witnesses who were inside of the student union when they say those shots started going out. One witness telling our reporters they heard multiple gunshots at the time, at least 15 to 20, one woman told one of our reporters. So a lot of chaos in the moment. We heard from the father who talked about he and his daughter together. They ran for safety. A lot of people are crowding around together. There were some frantic moments, but hopefully everyone is able to kind of take a breath right now and try to get their bearings and get to a safe place.
I did get another text from someone who is sheltering in place there on campus. He said, we are all just waiting here. We think it may take a while to leave. He said there is a building that everyone is being sent to at this moment. He does not know what building that is, but yeah, they're still sheltering in place. They're waiting for updates from FSU, and when the police do come to escort them out, there will be a safe word that they use, and so certainly everyone is just waiting for that.
Yes, and please, for everyone, follow the instructions from the authorities and law enforcement. They're trying to keep everyone safe at this time. So, if they're escorting people to certain areas, make sure you stay away from the areas they're asking you to stay away from, and try to do the best you can to stay safe. They want to keep that area safe because we have no idea about the suspect right now.
No.
We're still waiting on that information.
Nothing's been confirmed.
Nothing's been confirmed at this time, so we don't know who it is and if they're still out and about. So hopefully we can get some more information on that. We are working on it. We have several crews on the scene. Right now, the only thing that we've been told is from a witness who mentioned one person who did seem to be college age, and they said that person had a handgun at the time coming out of the student union.
And some students and a father who were on campus at the time of the shooting said things like, students who were in the student union at the time of the shooting told our reporters that they heard about 15 to 20 gunshots. They ran, they took shelter in a church that was across the street. As we just heard, one father, his daughter, they were looking at a menu on campus when the shots started. He said, I couldn't believe it. There were shots fired. It was surreal. People just started running. His daughter was trampled over, and they just both tried to hide in the big rooms off of Long Hallway, but the doors were locked. So 50 people ran into a service elevator. When the doors opened, 2 officers with guns drawn escorted them to safety. So, harrowing stories from what people have gone through this afternoon in the wake of the shooting.
Yeah, I'm sure that was quite the sight to see some safety, those law enforcement officers once they got out of that elevator. So especially after such scary moments, you're running and everyone is crowded in that elevator, and then once the doors open, you at least see friendly faces, those law enforcement officers trying to take them to safety. And when Cody, that was Jacob rather, when Jacob was interviewing the father was visibly shaken. So this is the map of the area on FSU's campus. We're told all of this happened at the student union on campus. So as you can see, the student union in the middle of campus there, not far from Woodward Avenue and Tennessee Street. And that's actually where we have one of our reporters, Cody Butler, that Jacob is in that area, Woodward in Tennessee, and then we have our Cody Butler at Dewey in Tennessee. So they're out there, they're searching for answers, talking to people, and we're trying to find out as much as we can at this time.
All right, we're getting some information that at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital that there are perhaps more than 4 there. I don't have an exact amount right now, so we're going to keep you updated on that.
Indeed, but TMH did put out that statement saying that they are ready,
yes,
and they are caring for victims that are related to this shooting. Again, the shooting happened around noon today. The FSU alert came out around 12:01 today saying that there was an active shooter on campus. And so far, initially, we were told 4 victims were taken to the hospital. Those 4 were confirmed, yes, at the beginning, yes, but we don't know if there are more victims at this time. We don't know the conditions of the victim, and we definitely don't know anything about the suspect. So that's one of the reasons why they want to make sure everyone stays safe.
Exactly.
It's still an active situation. They still ask you to shelter in place. Mm-hmm. The roads are blocked in that area, so stay away if you can.
And TMH says they are in close coordination with emergency responders and public safety officials out of respect for patient privacy and to ensure accurate information. They will provide updates as soon as they are available. So we will certainly wait for those. And as we do, Jacob Murphy on the scene at Woodward in Tennessee, Cody Butler at Dewey in Tennessee right now, just talking to people there and trying to figure out what happened this afternoon. We're gonna check in with Cody right now and see what information he has.
Yeah, Ava, right now we are seeing Tallahassee putting up barricades right now here at Dewey in Tennessee. Turn up the audio, please. And so we are here seeing the barricades be put up so that the officers can leave this area, because right now it's just being blocked by police cars right now. State Highway Patrol is here, FDLE is here, Tallahassee Police is here, and we are also hearing from state leaders right now on social media. Governor Ron DeSantis posted on X that our prayers are with our FSU family and state law enforcement who is actively responding. House Speaker Daniel Perez posted on X that we're watching what's unfolding at FSU. It's terrifying and every parent's worst nightmare. We are continuing to monitoring the news here in Tallahassee and urge everyone to pray for the students, families, faculty, first responders, and all involved. And Speaker Perez is a graduate of FSU, and up in D.C., Congressman Jimmy Patronis is also monitoring the situation, he says on X, as work to learn more, again, offering prayers for first responders and those who are injured. Here at Dewey in Tennessee earlier, we did see ambulances leave the scene with lights and sirens indicating that there was a live patient inside. We don't know their conditions yet. We do know that TMH does have some victims here from the scene. We're still working to learn more. And again, this is a very active situation that is gaining attention across the state.
It appears to be some students standing right by him. You know, I wonder, have they said anything, and why are they standing around? Do you know, Cody?
Yeah, we've been seeing students here in this area. I might have to move because there's a lot of activity with vehicles going on right now. But yeah, we've seen students walking away from campus. We saw a whole group of students leave about 15 minutes or so ago. They're all calm. They tell me they feel safe. Some of them are shaken up a little. They've talked to friends who are on campus that are on lockdown. They are, again, feeling safe on campus, shaken up. So they're just on edge right now.
Well, thank you so much, Cody. It is nice to hear that, you know, they're trying to remain calm, the people out there.
Yes.
You know, because I'm sure it's a scary situation. And so you see some of them just kind of casually, you know, walking away. And so, but they do want people to still be careful, though. So, you know, and as he mentioned, there are still some on campus that are sheltered in place. And so those students on the outside, they're checking in with their friends and fellow friends and their roommates or whoever may be on campus. So, you know, that's good. Check on each other. You know, everyone needs to be updated, and we're definitely doing our best. We're told that we got some students out there.
Yeah, everyone calling family to assure them they're all right. Yeah. You know, everyone, I think, wondering right now exactly what happened this afternoon. And law enforcement there, everything right now looks like it is under control. People are calm. People are being escorted off campus calmly. And, you know, Cody said there are barricades that are being put up there at Dewey in Tennessee to keep people out. They want people to not go anywhere near that area, please, so they can continue to do this investigation. State leaders, they are, you know, monitoring the situation right now. And, you know, Cody did say that ambulances were leaving the scene earlier with their lights flashing, taking people to TMH. Our Allison Posey is there. We are going to go to her shortly. She is at TMH for us now. Yeah,
and apparently, and I think TMH also has a staging area out there. So they are doing, oh no, that staging area is near their hospital, but they're make sure they're prepared. And so, you know, and as we know, many people, especially those who have been in Tallahassee for a while, they remember that 2014 shooting, and that's it there. Seeing this video just really rocked a lot of people. You know, these students and faculty, people were inside of the room. This is in Strozier Library on FSU's campus back in 2014. And boy, you know, just remember seeing so many videos like this, and the police officers coming in and rescuing these students. And again, the scene from back then, oh, it was very crowded and very cold that night. I do remember that.
And weren't there, Lanisha, 3 people were hurt, and then the gunman was killed?
Yes, that gunman was 31-year-old Myron May. And we're not sure. I believe he was a former student, but as far as his motive, and that's his picture there, it was just so shocking to so many people. You know, of course, that big question, the big question of why. That's always one of the first things, you know, that's, I'm sure, was going through so many people's mind. Today, we don't know. Myron May, he had, you know, just so many people wondering what happened. This is video of the visual. I was out there at the time, that visual from the 2014 shooting. And, you know, the students, and that's one thing about these incidents, though, even though it's frightening, but those students coming together, everyone on campus, being there for one another, and praying for one another and praying for those students. Thankfully, the shooting wasn't fatal in 2014, but still so many lives affected. 3 people were shot, at least 1 critically. So, you know,
here we are 11 years later.
11 years later.
And we are, you know, looking at another shooting there. So we have, you know, Jacob Murphy is there. He's at Woodward and Tennessee Street, very close to the student union where it happened. We've got Cody Butler there. We just heard from him at Dewey in Tennessee saying that barricades are being put up there to keep people away and try to get to the bottom of what happened with this investigation. Certainly people are still, it's still an active situation. People are still sheltering in place, and you know, we're hearing from them, and they're patiently waiting for more alerts from FSU, which they have been given. And from what I have gotten from the text that I'm getting, they do feel safe, and they are waiting for, you know, police to come and give them that safe word so that they can be escorted off of campus right now. We're taking another live look right now, and you can see law enforcement. There are some students there. It looks like everyone is pretty calm, which is a good sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign there. And it is, it's nice to hear you say you're getting those texts from some people who say they feel safe. And that's a good thing. There are plenty of officers out there on the scene, and so they're doing their best to, I'm sure, work on, you have some that are dealing with the investigation, and others who I'm sure are just specifically there for the people and making sure the area is safe, making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do. So it is nice to hear they are safe, because we know there are several different agencies on the scene. That vest there says State Trooper, so the Florida Highway Patrol out there, even FWC, we saw SWAT members from them out there on the scene, the fire department, so many others. So the scene is very active at this time still. So they just want to make sure everyone is safe, and stay away if you can. Those roads are still blocked.
Jacob Murphy, who is on scene now, did speak to a father who was with, I believe, his daughter in the student union when the shooting happened. So let's hear from him.
I was here with my twins to get a tour to campus and business. We were at the business school. We had just finished up, unbelievable tour. It was just a great day, and we had another tour scheduled at 1 o'clock. And we went inside the union to get lunch, and we went downstairs, and shots started ringing out, and it was terrible. Yes.
You were kind of spread out, getting different lunch items.
My daughter was waiting at the table. We were looking at the menu, and I couldn't believe it. Like, shots started. It was surreal. and people just started running. She got trampled over. We went through an exit door, ran down a hall, and all the doors were locked except one going up a flight of stairs to exit. And we didn't think that would be a good idea, but there was about 70 of us or 50 of us in that, and we were just like trapped, like
so when
felt
did you
trapped.
get out of the Union?
We went in the service elevator. There's about 50 of us in the elevator, and we went upstairs. And that was probably the scariest point because we didn't know, it could get worse, right? The doors open and, 2 officers were there, guns drawn, yelled, "Did you see anything?" We're like, "No, how do we get out?" They pointed that way, and just the adrenaline, we got outside, and just, here we are. We ended up in a church across the street here.
What was that moment like when the 4 of you were here and you knew you were safe?
Just like nothing you've ever felt before, or you could even explain. It's hard to explain. I mean, we're just blessed. I mean, how we got out of there, I can't, it's kind of surreal being at the church because God was watching over us. I mean, definitely we could have went really bad. I hope all the people pray for their families and that they're okay. We don't know much right now, but
Absolutely terrifying. A father with his 2 children going to tour the campus, and this happens. I mean, and it's indescribable.
Right. And then to have to run and all of the doors are locked. I can't imagine that feeling of feeling trapped. That's the way he described it, feeling trapped when they're running and the doors are locked, but then they finally get to an exit door that is unlocked and they're able to eventually get away. But you can tell he's visibly shaken. That's right. And he's there with his daughters on campus when all of this happened. And so a lot of that, I'm sure, a lot of people out there, so many people have similar stories, I'm sure. But this, again, happened around 12:01. Now, that initial alert from Florida State came out at 12:01 today. And the latest update we've gotten from them, it's been an hour since then.
Right.
But we do have our crews out there trying to get as much information as they can. So hopefully we can get that from them live as they're out there working to get those details. But they are asking to stay alert, and we'll definitely pass anything we learn on to you out there.
We certainly will, and we do know there are 4 confirmed victims at TMH. We don't know an exact number. That was what was confirmed earlier.
Yes.
Probably about an hour ago. We did get a statement from TMH saying that they're actively receiving and caring for patients related to the incident that occurred at Florida State University. The details are still unfolding. They do not yet have specific information to share. So they want to assure the community that their teams are fully mobilized and they are prepared to provide the highest level of care and support to all of those affected right now.
That's right. And even though that latest alert that we've seen from FSU has been an hour, there has not been an all clear yet. So just because some time has gone by, that does not mean it's okay to still be out and about.
That's right. Our Allison Posey is at TMH right now. We're going to check in with her to see what information she has. Allison?
Hey, thanks, Ava. Yeah, I'm live here outside of Southern Medical Group. It's kind of on the back side of Tallahassee Memorial Hospital on Medical Drive behind it. We have learned now 6 total victims have been taken to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. 5 of those victims are serious. 1 is critical. That is all the information we have confirmed right now. We are working on getting a statement, an official statement from TMH as soon as we get that. And as soon as we get that, we will share it with you guys. But like I said, new information just coming in. 6 total victims have been taken to TMH here in Tallahassee. 5 of those victims are serious. 1 is critical. And again, waiting on that official statement. Not a lot going on right now. Again, we are on the back side of TMH. Normal traffic back here. Don't see anything out of the ordinary. But when we do hear something new, we will report it back to you guys. From Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Allison Posey, WCTV.
All right, thank you so much, Allison. Allison Posey reporting from the Southern Medical Group at TMH. 6 victims, 5 serious and 1 in critical condition.
Yes, that is the latest we've gotten from Tallahassee Memorial. They do have a staging area out there, and they've said that they are prepared to deal with this situation for any victims. So as you see, they are working on things. That number again, at this moment, 6 victims related to the shooting on Florida State's campus. That shooting happened around noon today. So 6 victims, 5 right now we're told in serious condition, 1 in critical. So our Allison Posey is staged on the backside in the TMH area. TMH said they are making sure to keep the community as safe as they can. So anything coming their way, they are prepared to give the best care as possible to anyone who may be in need.
And we have an update from TPD. Multiple law enforcement agencies actively working to secure FSU. The campus, the student reunification point is being established at the Tucker Center. We are going to go to Jacob Murphy. He is at Woodward in Tennessee speaking to students. Jacob.
Some of the students out the back way.
I'll hold you right there. They're actually evacuating some students. We're going to head that way. Sorry.
All right, so Jacob's probably getting ready right there, talking to those students. He's been staged ever since we got word about this shooting. We had our crews immediately go out there for this breaking news. Jacob is at Woodward Avenue and Tennessee Street. So those are the students he's speaking to. Even earlier when he first got out there, he mentioned seeing some students go by. He could see that some did seem frightened, you know, their facial expressions, but no one seemed too worried as far as running and getting too frantic at the time. But he's still out there speaking with different people, getting some information from them and seeing if anyone witnessed anything and talking about their feelings. So I'm sure we'll hear from that young lady that we just saw a few moments ago.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, TPD has said multiple law enforcement agencies actively working to secure the Florida State campus. The student reunification point has been established at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. So students, I guess, are going there to reunite with their friends, their family, and whoever, and make sure, you know, that everyone's safe and they can check in as safe.
Yeah, that's right. If you have people that maybe you have been calling or trying to check with, that reunification area should be a good place to go if you're looking for someone, if you can't get in touch with them for some reason.
So we are looking at a live shot now of Woodward and Tennessee Streets. Now it looks like there are students lining up there and there's an out of service. Okay. We just got word that AP is reporting the suspect is in custody. Again, AP is reporting the suspect is in custody. That is very good news.
Yes, yes, good news indeed.
And we'll certainly give you more information on that as soon as we have it. What we're looking at now is the Woodward and Tennessee by that intersection there. It looks like they've taken an out-of-service bus and they are loading the students up on the bus. They may be going to that reunification center at the Civic Center. Not sure, but I know that TPD had said that that is where the student reunification point is. So
That's right.
they'll be shortly, it looks like, maybe loading those students onto the bus to get them where they need to go. Everybody's just trying to stay organized and safe and calm to get everybody, you know, to the right place on campus.
Oh, that's right. And those things are important in times like this. You know, even though it can be scary, but being organized, you see they're lined up.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be in order. The law enforcement officers out there helping, I'm sure in any way they can. And even the people, those students, they seem calm, they feel safe, it appears. And we have heard some even say that they feel safe.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they have that feeling. It looks like everything is under control, and the agencies out there have been able to obviously make the students and faculty members, staff, anyone out there feel like everything is under control. But again, the AP has reported the shooting suspect is in custody.
That's right, and that is good news today. People are still sheltering in place on campus. The person I've been in communication with is still sheltering in place, waiting for police to, knock on that door and give that safe word to take them to, I guess, the Tucker Civic Center.
Mm-hmm. And even though we've gotten word that the suspect is in custody, we still don't have any information on that person yet.
Right.
So hopefully that information can come out soon. We don't know who it is and why this happened. That's always a big question, of course. I'm sure everyone wants to know why this happened. So none of that information has come out yet. But again, the FSU shooting suspect is in custody. We did hear from a witness earlier who said they saw someone with a handgun.
And people started rushing to the back, and everyone just started running out of the student union. So I made my way back out where the old bookstore is. About a minute later, we heard about 8 to 10 gunshots.
And then you mentioned that you saw someone that appeared to have been shot next to you? Or
Yeah, so there's another gentleman that was running away, and looks like he was shot in the pelvic area, and he laid down and he got help and assistance from the police.
And then you just made your way across the street? How long was it until you thought?
I was there for probably about 45 minutes until they started clearing all around the around the student union, and then I had to walk around.
What was going through your head through the whole entire thing?
Just surreal. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Just being in here at college campus, everything was really quiet, then all chaotic.
And where are you from?
Tampa.
Tampa? Okay. Anything else you want to share?
No.
All right. Stay safe. Thank you.
So you guys on WCTV?
Yeah, we're the CBS here in town.
Oh, okay. I see. So yeah, have you talked to?
Okay, that's Jacob Murphy talking to people at Woodward in Tennessee there, right near the student union where this shooting happened this afternoon. Now, this man who Jacob was just interviewing, I believe he was in the student union, and he said he heard 8 to 10 gunshots. And we keep hearing this word, surreal. Mm-hmm. Everybody is saying this is so surreal. He said it was so quiet, and then it just became chaos.
Yeah.
So an incredible tragedy this afternoon at the student union at FSU's campus. We're trying to get as much information as we possibly can to you as soon as we can. Cody Butler's on the scene. Jacob Murphy's on the scene. We're talking to people. And we've got Allison Posey also. She's at TMH trying to get more information on the victims and their conditions right now.
Yes, and hopefully we do get some information about the suspect that we're told is in custody, but we haven't seen an all clear alert yet. So, all right, going back to Jacob with the student right now.
I'm a senior.
What are you studying?
Economics.
Okay. So you said you were in Bellamy.
Yes.
Can you walk us through kind of where you were, what you saw when you first realized something might have been wrong?
So I was in my Economics of the Middle East class. We were giving our final presentations on a research paper we were doing. And so one of my classmates was presenting, and someone close to the window had said they saw people running past Bellamy, and someone got a text. And then we kind of all realized something was going on. So we got the desks and started piling them up against the door. We tried to get the bigger desk, the main desk, the presenter's podium against the door, but we tried to rip some wires out of the wall, so it was pretty hectic. But
Did you ever hear the gunshots?
no, I did not, but I did hear ambulances, or I mean, what I thought was ambulances initially. And I found that a little bit concerning because usually when they get close to campus, they, mute their alarms to, refrain from making, big disturbance. But I mean, prayers to, all my peers, the professors, the staff, the Tallahassee community. I mean, really the country. I'm gonna call on Governor Ron DeSantis, the President Donald Trump for. This stuff keeps going on, right? But we're praying every day. Prayer is good. Spirituality is good, but prayers don't do much, right? So it's good for the soul, but is this still happening? I think it is. So we need to make some gun reforms because and that's one of the reasons I'm going into law. So why do things like this keep happening? I'm at a loss for words, honestly. So but thank you, and prayers to everyone. But again, that only does so much, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So.
And have you been able to text other students, other friends on campus?
Right,
Is everyone okay that you know? What's the collective sense right now?
I don't know anyone that's been hurt, thankfully. My phone's been blowing up. Parents, everyone's calling, and so thankfully I don't know anyone. And I'm really just, I'm really just dreading the thought of having to, come to some sort of memorial or hopefully not memorial, but some sort of community gathering to, show some solidarity for this. I mean, that I'm dreading that. That's what I'm dreading.
Certainly understand. Anything else you want to share? Covered it?
Thank you. And there has to be some change.
Else there who would wanted to share their experiences, and parents, if you are at home right now and just hearing about this, Ken Jefferson is explaining to us that the situation seems to be under control as best it can be, but it's not over.
Yeah, it's not over yet. It's not over until law enforcement gives the green light that everything goes back to normal. So for the parents that are home that are watching this, or either on their way to Tallahassee, one or the other, if they're leaving Jacksonville to go to Tallahassee, slow down, take a deep breath. Law enforcement is there. They've got the area under control as it stands right now. They're searching. They're still searching. They're still vetting everybody that comes out to see if they had a part in it, or if they know anything, if they saw anything, heard anything. All that information is vitally important. It's unfortunate that 6 people have been transported to the hospital, with one being critical. That plays on a parent's mind as to whether or not it's their child or whatever. So that's the only anxiety part at this point that will be there for parents. But if they've heard from their child, that means that they're safe. That means that they're being controlled by law enforcement. They have the ability to make that phone call to let them know that they're safe. So that should ease their mind a little bit.
So how wide will this perimeter be? I know some people stay off campus in apartments or something like that, and then so how much of a perimeter has to be locked down?
It'll initially be campus-wide. Nobody on, nobody off. Nobody on, nobody off until law enforcement completes their job. So it could expand. It could expand to adjacent properties or whatever if witnesses lead them that way. If somebody saw someone running outside of a student, whatever, even if it was a student, they don't know if they were involved with it or not, law enforcement is going to follow up on every lead that they get, every piece of information that they get. They're going to follow up on it. They're going to do it expeditiously as well.
Okay. We just got an official statement from President Trump, so let's share that with you right now. The White House statement is the president has been briefed on the shooting at Florida State University, and the White House is actively monitoring the situation. That's from his press secretary. We also have some video coming in now we want to show you. That is the hospital. Is that right? Okay, here it is right here. This is brand new video. This has just been sent to us. It appears to show students being evacuated from a building on campus. I can't tell if their hands are up in the air, but Kyla told us a couple times that if she's evacuated for the 3rd time, they did tell her to keep her hands up in the air. And again, if you are just joining us, let's give you a recap right now. An active shooter was reported in the area of Florida State University's Student Union. Their alert went out at 12:02 today, and we have multiple sources telling ABC News that one suspect at least is in custody, but this is still considered an active situation. A spokesperson with Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare is telling us that they are treating 6 people right now. As I've been saying, I don't know if those are teachers or students or a mix. One of those patients is in critical condition. The rest of them, the other 5, in serious condition. And so we want to make sure that we chat again with Kyla. If you're just joining us as well, Kyla Grogan is a freshman at FSU. She was in one building, was sent to another building, and now she's hearing that she may be sent again. And Kyla, you were so nice to be able to ask your friends sitting around you if they wanted to speak, and they don't, and that's okay. We respect that. Are you all on the floor? Describe are you against a wall, in a closet? What are you doing right now, please?
We're in like some graduate student's office that's like off the hallway.
And so do they have you sitting on chairs or against a wall hidden, or what precautions are you taking?
Well, the room is all brick, so there's no windows, and just everyone's just in here sitting on whatever.
Or on the ground, or on books, or chairs if they have them. How many people are in the room with you?
I would say like 15, 20.
Now, earlier you were saying that you'd seen probably 10 officers outside in your one hallway.
All right, thanks for joining us. Your time right now coming up on 2:01. My name is Frank Wiley. This is a 10 Tampa Bay breaking news special report because at this hour we can confirm a suspect has been taken into police custody. Multiple victims also reported in a shooting. This was on the campus of Florida State University. That information coming in this afternoon around 12:15. I want to show you this right here too. Take a look at your screen because this is Florida State University. We're showing you right there on the map. Also highlighted on that map is the student union. That is where police tell 10 Tampa Bay this incident actually took place. If we have some pictures that we can pull up that we can show you, we have been working to get this all afternoon. That is some video from some of the people right there on campus. All of them told to shelter in place. The extent of the victim's injuries not known at this hour, but there were no additional details about the person who was, again, a person taken into custody. At least 6 people in the hospital as I speak. One person is in critical condition. Now, from the video coming in, we can tell you this. Students obviously glued to their phones. You're hearing some of the commotion right there coming on the air, and the police rushing to the scene as this took place again around 12:15 this afternoon as we continue to give you updates right here on 10 Tampa Bay. Some of the people there visibly emotional, others hugging one another. Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a social media post that the Justice Department was in touch with the FBI. Agents were on that scene. Of course, a lot of information coming in via social media. Also seeing this from Attorney General James Uthmeyer saying that we are praying for the entire FSU community and our first responders. His office is responding to the active shooter situation on the campus. That came in about an hour ago. Again, I'm Frank Wiley, and this has been a 10 Tampa Bay breaking news special report, and we will bring you more information right here on 10 Tampa Bay Plus throughout the hour.
Word, and then they'll say the safe word.
Okay, so let's go back to Kyla. Kyla, did you hear what we were talking about just now? There's a safe word now that's been publicized by police there at FSU, and that word is Seminole. So apparently if you hear that word, then you know it really is the police, and you can follow that direction, and you can feel comforted that it's not somebody else trying to do harm. Have you been coached
I'm pretty sure
before?
They sent that out in an FSU alert.
So you knew that for a while then. That's good to know. Okay. And that's something that you had been told about before as part of your training, that there would be a safe word coming from the campus?
No, they just sent it out in a text.
Okay, can you read me that full text? Do you still have it on your phone?
I can look.
We really appreciate Kyla's help. She has been with us now for quite a while. Hopefully we're doing something to keep her calm too. She said she feels safe now, so that's good, but I can't even imagine the fear of what this is happening to her.
I can read it out if you want.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
It says, continue to shelter in place. Law enforcement is actively clearing rooms on the main campus. Law and officers were used to safe word Seminole to confirm it is safe to open the door. Continue to shelter until law enforcement contacts you.
Okay, that's good. And we did just get a notice from the Attorney General. There was supposed to be some sort of press conference with him today, but that has obviously been canceled. And he says we are praying for the entire FSU community and also our first responders. So, Kyla, I'm going to ask Ken Jefferson another question while you wait with us so patiently, which we truly appreciate that. Who all in law enforcement is involved? How far out does this go? Are there United States people there as well, federal people? How big a presence is this going to be?
You get as many law enforcement officials there as you can. You've got your Florida State University police there, of course. You've got your Tallahassee Police Department there. You've got your Leon County Sheriff's Office there. You've got several adjacent counties that will send officers there. You've got reserve officers that they can call in. So they've got the resources, and then that's just boots on the ground. Then you can utilize your air unit, you utilize your K9 unit, and then if push came to shove, if it extended for a long period of time, you can get your volunteers to come in to help with specific instructions as well.
What about K9 units trying to find they wouldn't know who the suspect. Well, they've got one suspect supposedly in custody. But what would K-9 units be doing at this point?
K-9 units would do what they specialize in. You know, you got a suspect in custody. Of course, they'll put the dog around that individual first, because if he was in cahoots with someone else, the dog can pick up something from the other person, from the suspect that's in custody, and lead to the other person. But the K-9 units are there. They're there scouring the area along with the other officers with the boots on the ground. And if they're needed to take someone into custody, they can utilize the K-9 unit.
Now, will they fly drones, make noise?
They could.
Helicopters?
They could. They could. The air unit is the helicopter, the helo unit that they use primarily for that, but they could use drones.
So when you look on social media, which I'm sure you all have at this point, I mean, it is just loaded with, one of the main messages is just praying for FSU, praying for FSU, praying that this will be over, praying that this one guy is the only one involved, and it may take them a while. I mean, this could go on for hours until they clear the scene.
It could.
Or am I wrong?
It could go on for hours, but with the manpower that they have, it's not going to go. It should not go throughout the night with this. And then, you know, the suspect may decide to talk. He may decide to give all the information that's needed. You can best believe that they've done, or they're currently doing everything as far as a background check on this individual that they have in custody. They know where he lives, they know who he associates with, they look at his social media, they look at any type of clues that led up to this. Was he being bullied? Was he disgruntled with a professor, or disgruntled with a student, or was he breaking up with his girlfriend? Well, they'll find all that stuff out. They'll find out who his family members are. They'll talk to them. They're going to go through all the extremes. It's kind of like a duck on top of water. You see him gliding smoothly through the water, but underneath, his little feet are wagging along. So the police are the little feet that's wagging along, but on the surface, they're going to render the campus safe for all the students, and it'll be smooth sailing.
Now, for parents out there worried, and I keep going back to that because as a mom, that's how this whole thing strikes me, is how worried I would be if I had a student there. What's different about an active shooting on a college campus, and we've had many of those, versus, say, at a mall? Is there a difference?
Well, yeah, you've got more buildings, if you will, on a campus, and more places to hide, and various things that are going on. When you got a mall, you've got a lot of people that's involved in evacuation, and you have to vet through that a little more diligently, if you will, as you would as opposed to a college campus. College campus, you've got dorms, you've got educational buildings, you've got parking lots, you've got all these kind of things, whereas a mall is basically all segregated into one area that you have to check, versus a lot of buildings, apartments, places that you live, and parking lots.
Okay, we're going to quickly just run back to Kyla. She has been so great being on the phone. Are you still with us? I'm sorry to keep pestering you there, but we just want to make sure if anything has changed in your situation. Are you still in the same room? I don't know if she perhaps maybe took a break for just a moment, because she has been so great to be with us now.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, you are. Oh, gosh, bless your heart. Are you still in the same room, or have you heard any information about trying to evacuate that building and go someplace else?
They have us now in lines outside, waiting to go to the Civic Center.
So it's really noisy. Let me make sure I heard you. You are in a line outside, or you're headed there?
Yes. No, we are.
You are. So are your hands up, have to be up in the air? But you're on the phone.
No, I have no idea.
Okay, can you tell us what you were told exactly, please?
All they said was it was going to take a long time because they're taking us to the Civic Center, and that's like a 30 minutes, 40 minutes from where I am.
Okay, I'm trying really hard to hear you, so please pardon my asking the same question twice. It's going to be a long time for you to walk somewhere, or 30 minutes? I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
I'm assuming walk, just because of how many of us there are.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay, so we can't see you. You're our eyes for us. Kyla, so look around and just describe the scene. How many students you see, what they're doing, how many police officers there are. Just describe the scene for us.
So, like, straight in front of us is the student union. Now they have us in lines, like 4 or 5 lines. There's probably at least 1,000 people here. And now they're slowly moving the lines.
And they're doing what inside the lines?
just moving them
They're
somewhere.
slowly moving the lines. Okay, so they've asked you to walk slowly, or just because there are some hundreds and hundreds of people out there?
No, they're asking us to walk slowly, and they have us divided.
Divided in groups of?
There's just like, it's very like messy lines.
Okay, so you're in messy lines, hundreds of you right now, across the street from the student union where the shooting happened, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they are asking you to walk. Are there police officers on either side of you?
Yes. There's, I can see right now at least 5. We're walking to what would be like the left of the student union, so off campus.
Okay, so you are now walking in. You're walking very long lines. As far as you can see, there are people walking. These are students and teachers, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
And you're slowly being escorted away from the student union building, which is across the street.
Yes.
And you look like you're heading toward where?
I don't know, actually. I would assume they're walking us to the civic center because we're going in that general direction.
Okay, stay with me for a bit, Kyla. So she's outside now. You can hear me talking about this, Ken. They must feel assured that this is safe to be outside.
Yeah, if law enforcement is directing the students to a certain area, then they've rendered it safe. They've searched that area. They've vetted everybody that was in that area, if anyone was at the time, and they feel confident that it's safe for the students to be out there.
Okay, and so that doesn't necessarily mean that the situation's over, but in that immediate area.
It's not over until the police leave. They're going to stay there, and they're going to section it off, section by section, to render it safe and safe for you to do whatever you need to do as what you would normally do. But they will release the police, all of the law enforcement officials, once the entire campus has been rendered safe.
Now, you mentioned earlier that some parents may already be in their cars driving to FSU. Do you recommend that, or would you advise against that?
If they've heard from their student, I wouldn't recommend them driving down there. But, you know, you can't tell a parent what to do when it comes to their child. They're going to go anyway. They want to put eyes on them. They want to touch them. We want to hug them and reassure them that we love you, we're here for you, whatever. So no matter what the police says for us, don't come this way, they're going to still go. I would go. I would still go regardless of what was being said because I want to see my child for myself. The parents that I pray for are the ones who have patients in the hospital right now, 5 serious injuries and 1 critical. So those are the parents that we have in our thoughts and prayers, as well as the first responders and the other students as well. But just prayer for the whole situation and all the people that's involved. It's a sad day that this sort of thing continues to happen in society for whatever reason. There's no good reason that you can place on just taking a weapon out and start firing at individuals, or whatever. But we have to commend our first responders and our law enforcement because they run to that kind of danger to save those from harm, any kind of harm whatsoever.
And so just one more time, Kyla, and we'll let you go, but if you could tell us what's going on where you are right now. If you just joined us, Kyla is a freshman at FSU, and we just want to make sure that she is still walking with police escort. Is that the case? Can you tell us anything new, Kyla?
Now they walked us about like 50 feet in front of us, and we're just standing in a group. And officers are at the front, but we're not doing anything right now.
And would you say that the sentiment with the students around you, is there still a lot of high anxiety, or are they feeling more calm at this point?
I would say there's some high anxiety, just because a lot of people around me are people who were in the union when it happened.
And what have they said? Have you learned anything about what the shooter was, where he was at the student union? What did they tell you that happened?
I keep hearing people say that he looked just like a student. Someone said he had a pistol, but I'm not sure about that.
That's just something that's, I guess, like kind of in the rumor category at the moment. But what about where he was? Was he inside, in the eating area, or where?
Someone said he was just, like, he walked in on our first floor.
He walked in, and what, I'm sorry?
He just walked in like a normal student.
Okay. And did they describe about any weapons that he might have had?
Someone said a pistol, but I'm not sure about that because I only heard one person say that.
Okay. And did they say that he ran out afterwards, or did he stay in there and police accosted him, or what happened?
Someone said they saw him running, but people don't know if it's the same person.
Okay. So right now, none of this is official, but we do appreciate your talking with the other people who may have seen that. So I'm going to tell you something else at the moment. You can listen in on this, Kyla. We just talked to, okay, Kyla, we're going to let you go so that you can follow the police instructions. And thank you again so much for sticking with us now for well over an hour to tell us what's going on. And we're glad to hear your voice, glad to know that you're okay. And we, the newsroom just talked to FSU police and the reunification site for families and students. We want to give that to you one more time. It's at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, 505 West Pensacola Street in Tallahassee. And there is a media staging area where media is being asked to gather, and that is at 200 West College Avenue. The advice is still the same, to shelter in place. Law enforcement is actively clearing rooms in the main campus. Law enforcement officers will use the safe word seminal, as we've been talking about, to confirm it is safe to open the door. Continue to shelter in place until law enforcement contacts you. And if you need any emergency assistance, there is a cell phone number that you can use, and that's FSU PD, or 850-644-1234, or to make it much more simple, call 911. And Ken Jefferson has confirmed that that code word, that safe word seminal, is something that's used and used effectively, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's vital that they have something like that so that anybody concerned or anybody there won't become a victim. They'll know that that's a safe person that's coming to render aid or help.
So I know you couldn't hear Kyla right now, and she was very smart to make it clear that she's just hearing students talk. So this is only like on the rumor, he said this, she said this, or whatever. But she's with students right now who were there, they said, during the shooting at the student union. And we don't know if this is true, so this is not official, but this is what's happening. This is what students are talking about, that somebody that looked like a student walked in, maybe had a pistol, started shooting, and that's kind of all she knows. And I can't underline that enough. We don't know if that's the case.
We'll have to wait for an official statement from law enforcement to really know what's going on, unless there was a direct eyewitness and 2 or 3 others that can confirm what that witness is saying for it to be official. But we'll have to wait to see exactly what it is, because, as I said earlier, they're doing the background on this person that they have in custody right now, and they can sometimes make a determination as to what led up to this. Is there a manifest? Is there something that he put out that he was going to do, or he was disgruntled with the person, or whatever? But the main thing right now is to render the campus safe, make sure all the students are safe, make sure everybody involved with the shooting is in custody. Once that's done, then they'll start deciphering exactly what and how it happened.
And just bless everybody's hearts hanging on with this. We just cannot wait to hear that all clear. We just hope that comes so soon. We do now have a statement, actually a verbal statement from President Donald Trump. He spoke on the shooting on FSU's campus during a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Italy, calling the shooting a shame. So let's take a listen to President Trump just a short time ago.
And I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later.
So that was President Trump just now. He was there with the Prime Minister, the leader of Italy. And I do want to point out that as of right now, we have not had any confirmation that anybody has lost a life. But we do know that there are 6 patients, 1 in critical condition at Tallahassee Memorial. They've been transported, 5 in serious. And, we use those words all the time, Ken. So let's just kind of clarify what that means as far as a medical definition of serious condition. So I will share that now. A patient in serious condition is very ill or injured. That would be logical, right? Vital signs may be unstable and not within normal limits. There is cause for concern, but the person is not necessarily at immediate risk of death. The outlook may depend on how the situation develops. So right now, as I'm reading this, you can see some of the military, or rather the police officers, on a roof. Ken, tell us what you're seeing. This is not live, but this was earlier.
They're searching the roof. They're looking for weapons. They're looking for people or person. Like I said, they're going to scour this entire campus, and all of the police that are there will be easily recognizable for the safety of themselves as well as the students, to know that that is a law enforcement official. They may not be in a uniform, but as you can see on some of the footage, they'll have vests on that clearly says police on it. So that identifies them as a law enforcement official. You won't see anybody, for the most part, that's trying to do law enforcement work without that vest on or without something identifying them as a police officer, be it a badge around their neck, or a vest or a uniform.
When this first started, I saw one report from Tallahassee saying that U.S. Marshals were almost immediately on campus. Why would that be?
Well, they're helping. It's a law enforcement agency that that's coming to the fight. They're coming to help out the local law enforcement. So you probably got local, state, and now federal law enforcement officials. When a situation like this happens, and you've got a very large area, such as a college campus like Florida State University, you need all the help you can get. So you don't turn anybody down. You get all the help you can get to render that campus safe.
And we are talking about some of the patients who are taken to the hospital. What you're seeing right now as I'm speaking, this is live video. I'm looking at this as a layman, seeing people walk fairly calmly, and we are hearing Kyla explain that there are hundreds of students now across the street from the Student Union building who are being escorted by police. She's not sure where, but they've been asked to walk slowly. At first, she said their hands were up over their heads, but since she's on the phone with me, I wasn't sure exactly if that was still the command or not, but taken calmly. But she did point out that the anxiety is still high there among the students she's
Well, of course it would be. And if they're not being told to show the surrender status with their hands up in the air, that means that they've been cleared by law enforcement. If they're moving them out of a building or a place where they segregated them, then there's no threat of them being one of the suspects, so they don't have to continue to walk with their hands up, because that's not the initial evacuation. On the initial evacuation, when you're taking people out of a building, you want to have them come out with their hands up. In this case, the students, as well as the teachers and professors, come out with your hands up. Once you segregate them, you render them safe, and if you have to move them again, you don't have to continue to throw your hands up. Of course, the anxiety is going to be high, because it could be one of their friends that was injured or shot, and they're thinking that it could have been me or whatever. So the anxiety is going to be high, but it will not help anybody if they were to be running all over the place, because police aren't going to allow that to happen. Running all over the place, frantically trying to get off the campus or whatever. Police aren't going to let that happen either. They're going to, in the midst of the chaos, the law enforcement officers are going to remain calm in an effort to make sure that the students remain calm and let them know that they have it under control. Just follow their directions.
And then we were talking about the patients taken to Tallahassee Memorial, and we were trying to define medically what serious and critical condition is, because we understand that one patient, we don't know if it's a student or a professor or whatever, is in critical condition. And we were pointing out that we hear those news terms all the time. Well, there's a car accident, somebody's in critical condition, but just to give you the medical definition of it, a patient is in critical condition, and this is the most severe stage, as you probably know. Vital signs are unstable, often not within normal limits. The individual may be unconscious, and the prognosis is uncertain, so of course that's very scary in this situation. The condition means there is an imminent threat to life. So I'm sure whoever this person is in the hospital, with nurses and doctors surrounding them and family maybe at this point, lots of prayers going out to this one particular person who's in critical condition from this active shooter. And we talked about whether parents will rush to campus. And I know that's impossible to tell parents not to do that. I remember back when there was a shooting at Episcopal here, and my son went to school there. And what I learned from that, so I don't know if this helps parents or not, but I just ran out of the newsroom, you know, and before I was on the bridge, on the Hart Bridge. It was one of the scariest moments of my life, and I was calling my son, and what I learned was that sometimes the cell phone batteries die. Fortunately, he answered the phone, and he said, Mom, he was whispering, because they're told, and even in this situation at FSU, they've been told to speak quietly. He said, Mom, I'm in the library. I'm okay. I can feel it now in my heart. And he said, I have 1% battery on my phone. Now, I realize that people can share phones back and forth, but nobody knows this is going to happen. And at that point, I was just grateful he had that 1% battery, so I knew my son was alive. But those things can happen that students don't know when an active shooter could pop up.
Well, you know, as a parent, of course, the first thing you want to do is go where the incident happened and see your child. Make sure your child is safe. If you can't reach them via phone or whatever. Just think back when we didn't have cell phones, and if something like this was to happen, we had to wait and wait and wait until we got the all clear by police to see if our loved ones were involved in this situation. But now we've got technology where you can contact them via text or a voice and talk with them. But again, I'll emphasize, the police can say, parents, don't come over here to Tallahassee to try to check on your child. They're going to come anyway. I would come. I would go. I would go because, I would want to see my child. I want to put my hands on them whenever that was possible, but to make sure that they're safe. It's nothing like you, the parent, making sure that your child is safe, regardless of what anybody else says. And unless you talk to them on the telephone, you can hear that they're safe. And they're told to whispers in the event that there's another suspect that's not in custody that's looking for other people to hurt or to harm. So they tell them to whisper and try to keep it down low just in case that person is nearby and they can hear them and possibly come in where they are and do harm to them.
And so please know, I'm not asking you to try to guess at something that we don't know yet. But in a close situation in the student union, to be able to shoot at least six people right away, does that tell us anything about the weapons or does it not? That might not be a fair question.
Well, because it's unofficial and we don't know what kind of weapon he had, to shoot six people, you can shoot them with a revolver, you can shoot them with a semi-automatic weapon in a rapid fire. You know, he's not aiming, he's shooting. He may have been aiming at one particular person if he had a grudge against or whatever situation, or he just may have been shooting in a crowd. Don't know at this point, but it can be done with a semi-automatic weapon. And the difference between a semi-automatic weapon and a revolver is that the revolver is not rapid fire, but you can shoot it. The semi-automatic weapon, as soon as you pull the trigger, the bullet goes out and the shell goes that way, and it's rapid, back to back. That's why it's called a semi-automatic. Whereas the revolver, it has to revolve around, shoot, revolve around, shoot. Semi-automatic weapon just pop, 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 pop.
Well, so many questions I'm sure are on your minds as you're listening to us as well. Was there not a metal detector? Was there not a clear bag policy? Was there a security guard there, maybe somebody who jumped on him and took him down and prevented him from shooting anybody else? And we don't know. Those are all the questions that are some of the many questions that are going to have to be answered with this.
Yeah, they'll answer those questions later on. And again, like I said, the objective right now is to render the campus safe, make sure all the students and the faculty and everybody is safe. That's what they're concentrating on, even before they issue a statement as to those details. You know, those details can wait until they render it safe.
And we're staying on the air here because we want to make sure that we stay with the situation until we can say the all clear. So if you have questions, here is the FSU information line that you can try to call, 850-644-4636. And Ken, I'm thinking that one advantage here, if I can say something positive, is it's daylight. And there are many hours still left of daylight. Doesn't that help?
It does help. It does help. And you know, typically when you look back on these type of things, they typically happen during school hours in the daytime. So that's a big help to law enforcement. They don't have to bring in extra resources to try to light up areas and whatever. And the safety factor is very positive for law enforcement during the daytime.
So we talk so many times about these lone gunmen. Would it surprise you if there were another gunman involved, or is it?
It would.
Yeah, but more likely that they've got the guy, and that might be over. We hope.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, it's usually one person. That's not to say it can't be more, but it's usually one person in situations like this, and there's a plethora of reasons as to what they'll say as to why they did this sort of act, or whatever. But even though they have one in custody, they're going to still search to make sure that he is a lone gunman and there isn't anybody else involved.
We look back at the most recent school shootings, there have been lone gunmen. That wasn't true, though, in Colorado years ago when all this kind of started. There were a couple of them then. We do have a state representative, Angie Nixon, has sent us a statement. A lot of people now speaking out and sending out their official thoughts. So from State Representative Angie Nixon, she is saying, everyone be safe in Tallahassee right now. My thoughts and prayers are with the families of the victims that have been injured during the shooting at FSU. And so I must say that I've been saying for the people who've been injured and taken to the hospital, I've said maybe they're teachers, maybe they're students. They might be first responders for all we know, or bystanders. We hope that everybody is safe in the first responder unit, but we don't know which the personalities or the exact roles that these patients have who've been taken to the hospital. But I keep looking for bright spots. We haven't heard of anybody else shot in the last 30, 45 minutes. They haven't announced any other or confirmed any other shooting victims. So maybe that's good, Ken?
We have to be patient.
We have to be patient.
We have
I
to
know.
be,
I'm struggling to find something
we
positive
have to
here.
be patient. We have to address what we see, what we know to be factual at this time, right now.
These are Associated Press images that we're showing you. Sometimes pictures are worth 1,000 words, and they show so much emotion of what's going on. And right now, I think the theme is I'm calling mom, I'm calling grandma, I'm calling my sister, I'm calling my brother. I'm okay, I'm alive, I'm all right. And can you not even imagine when somebody picks up the phone, you don't know if it's going to be
good news or bad news.
A hospital, yes, or a minister, or your loved one. And so thank goodness that we are seeing some positive pictures here of people sitting. Now they're sitting on campus away from the shooting area, although Kyla said that when they were walking around here, she was pretty close. She was still across the street from the student union.
Well, they've got a person in custody, and they've cleared the student union, so they were safe. They're across the street, they're safe. Trust me, if the shooting happened, wherever the shooting happened, that's where the police were first to render it safe. So if they're across the street from where it happened, then they're safe.
Well, I mean, considering this was at 12:02, the alert went out. We don't know exactly when the shots were fired, but close to that time. That's lunchtime. And so a lot of students have crazy schedules, but that would have been a crowded time. And then Kyla pointed out people were eating, they were visiting and talking, and so that if you were going to be vicious about things, to pick a time when the student union was crowded, that might be.
Yeah, I mean, or he picked the person that he wanted to shoot, and they happened to be in the student union. You know, all speculative right now. We don't know. And then we don't know what the population in the student union was, because it's a holiday weekend. Some kids who would have normally possibly been there may have been gone home for Easter, for the weekend or whatever. So, but it's in the middle of the day where, you know, Florida State University campus is always crowded. I was there a couple of months ago for an event that had nothing to do with Florida State, but riding through the campus. I mean, there are kids everywhere. I mean, everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, there's always kids there. So it probably was, and I'm guessing, I don't know this, it may have been a targeted attack. The person wanted to shoot one person in particular and ended up shooting more. Because, you know, when a gun is fired, it's not like what happens on television. A person just drops down. The gun is fired, that bullet continues to travel. So if somebody's standing behind the person who's shot, they're going to get shot too. That bullet's going to go through them as well. It could ricochet and hit somebody. All kind of things can happen. That doesn't happen on television shows. I mean, that happens on television shows. I mean, sorry, that doesn't happen on television shows, but in real life, that's actually what happened. Did he fire the gun at 6 different people, or were they just casualties of what he was a person that he was shooting at?
Very disturbing thought, but yeah, thank you, Ken. And we want to give this phone number out again, because parents ask us, well, what do I do? If I'm going, where do I find my loved one? Where do I meet? And so here it is right now. You'll see it on your screen. According to FSU Police now, this is the Reunification site for families and students. It's the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center, which is on 505 West Pensacola Street in Tallahassee. So as we're saying, law enforcement is still working to clear rooms on the main campus, and they are using a safe word. This is officers. Officially, the safe word is seminal. So if somebody asks you about that, a student or a loved one, it is seminal, and that means what, Ken?
It means that that's law enforcement is safe to open up.
So if they're out there and they say seminal, you know you can open the door just a little bit and let them come in or let them talk to you. And they are still supposed to shelter in place, though, until law enforcement is contacting them. And we were talking as well about, we're of course worried about people's lives and the injuries right now, people one in critical, 5 in serious condition. But as you know, what worries me as well is the after effects of this. After the shooting here in Jacksonville at the high school years ago, some of the students had a lot of stress, even PTSD, after going through that. And so the ramifications of today can go on for a long time. This is not just a scary situation for a day or a weekend.
Sure. I mean, when you go through a traumatic event such as this, you're going to need counseling. You're going to need to talk to someone and have some professional counseling provided for you, because it's a traumatic event that's going to follow you for the rest of your life, and you've got to know how to cope with it, how to deal with it, how to talk to your future children about your experience with this. So yeah, this sort of thing reaches out far beyond what we see on the surface.
And we want to be able to acknowledge, too, it is Easter weekend. My niece doesn't go to FSU, but to a different state university. She is already on her way home, so she wouldn't have been affected by this. But you're right, some of the students may have already left campus to come home for the Easter holiday. And my producer, Mike, is just telling me that there is a news conference scheduled for 4 p.m., so we will have much more information. They won't know everything, as you know, but it's going to give us a lot more information. Let's just hope and pray they're going to say it's the all clear.
Yeah.
At 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or even before then.
And law enforcement is working hard to do that. That's their objective. They're working very hard to do that.
I know they won't do that too soon, though, of course.
No.
Yeah. But the question, I guess, too, is if someone else is still out there, wouldn't we have heard of that by now, or no? Not really.
If they found them, we would have heard about it. If they're still searching.
I just think like the students might have, so I saw 2 people or something like that.
Well, they won't disclose all of that because, you know, they don't want to compromise anything. So they'll follow up on that lead. And if it turns out to be something, then they'll talk about it. But while they're trying to look for it, they won't say
And I was talking about Kyla, when she was talking about all the other students who were standing there who'd been through it all. I mean, not once did it wasn't thorough, it wasn't official, but not once did somebody say, I saw a couple of people. So I'm just, again, trying to be optimistic that maybe this is getting contained as fast as possible. So that 4 o'clock news conference is going to be really important for us to find out.
Sure, it'll provide an update on everything, and may even give specifics as to what happened, as to the fact that he walked in, pulled out a gun, whatever. They should provide some type of specifics that they know to be true at that particular time, or they may just give an update that the campus has been cleared, there's no danger to anyone. We believe that there's only one suspect that's involved with this. We have him in custody. So we'll see what they say at 4 o'clock.
And we saw earlier, this was not a live picture, but we saw earlier a law enforcement officer on the roof. And so how expansive do you think that had become?
Well, that's a part of their job when you have an active shooter, to search every crevice, every possible way that a crime can occur. You know, was he on the roof? Did he stash some weapons there? Was his plan was to shoot in the student union, to run on the roof somewhere, and while they're all scrambling, start shooting at other people, whatever. So you have to cover every single base, and that's what law enforcement is doing. When you see them on the roofs like that, that's what they're doing. They're looking for evidence. Yeah,
and I haven't been in that. Have you been in the student union at FSU?
No.
She was describing it as a big modern building with a lot of open area, so it would be hard just to spot somebody, I think, leaving with the masses of people around it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you got a large crowd of people, and when the weapons start to fire, they're all going to scatter like roaches do when the light comes on, and it's chaotic. So unless you actually saw the person with the weapon shooting the weapon, when they start spreading out like that, it's kind of hard to determine who the suspect is.
So right now we're seeing Macomb Street and Tennessee Street, and I honestly don't know where that is in relationship to the student union building. Do you, Ken?
I don't.
Okay, but if you looked at that right now, you'd go, oh, look, it's just a normal afternoon on a Thursday at FSU's campus. There are a couple of police officers, but it doesn't look threatening. But that's nothing at all like what we saw earlier. And producers, if we could show some of those scenes from early on a couple of hours ago, even the scene or the picture of the students who had blocked a doorway with desks and boxes and so forth, that is a great example of the anxiety that they felt and the precautions that they took. But right there, it looks like it's fairly common. We just don't know how far away that live picture is from the student union.
Correct, and they've got that one street blocked. As you can see, the cluster of cars in the background after you see the 2 cars that's blocking the street. But they've got traffic going. You see pedestrian traffic walking. So they're working hard to try to render everything safe.
Okay, and our producer Mike just told me that we have a mom on the phone, and Ken, you're right. She's on her way right now to FSU.
You can't stop them.
She's from Baker County. And so Casey Stevenson, you have a student at FSU. Casey, can you hear me? Are you driving right now?
I am. I'm on my way there now.
Okay, so please be careful, of course, but you have made contact with your child at FSU?
Yes, ma'am. My daughter, she texted me to let me know she's okay.
And what is, and your daughter's name is?
Chloe.
Chloe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I need to interrupt you. I wanted to make sure that Chloe was okay, so I can break this news to you now and everybody else that we have had confirmation now that one person has been killed. So we know there is the first death reported now from this active shooter situation at FSU that happened about noon today. But Casey, you're on the phone with us right now, and we appreciate that. You're the mom. I'm sure your stomach is in knots. Tell me what you found out from your daughter as you're driving.
She texted me that she was okay, that a kid in her class had heard the initial gunshots, and he ran back into the class and told him to call 911. And the professor told them all to just get down on the ground. They turned off the light and were as quiet as they could be.
And tell me what building she was in.
She was, I don't know the exact name of the building, but it was right next to the student union.
Okay, so she was in class at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell me about what it was like to get her on the phone, how your heart was pounding a million miles a minute, I'm sure. What was it like to hear her voice?
I have not heard her voice yet. They moved her to another building, and she was in there for about 30 minutes, and they just got her out of that classroom, and they're moving her off campus.
So right now they're moving her off campus. So how do you know she's okay? I'm glad she is.
She's been texting me.
She's been texting you. Okay, so let me ask you that then. When the very first word came across your phone, those little bubbles that pop up that we all look for, like, oh, there's somebody there. I know that feeling. There's somebody there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came to be Chloe.
Yes, ma'am.
What were
She
you
texted
feeling?
and said that she loved me, her dad, and her sister.
She loved you, and she loved your dad, or her dad and her sister. Oh my gosh.
Yes, ma'am.
I bet you took a screenshot of that and you're going to save it forever.
It was not a text you usually want to get like that.
No, but thank goodness it was good news. Okay. So what else did she tell you?
She heard the initial gunshot, and then at that point they all just dropped to the ground, and then she heard police yelling, and then helicopters every now and then.
Okay, so she could hear the gunshots. She was close enough then to hear the gunshots.
Yes, ma'am.
And right away, police were yelling, so there were police on the scene at the moment? Or
It was after she was in the class for a while.
After a while, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then help me understand about her move to another building. How did that go about?
They started evacuating each building floor by floor. So from what I understand, they moved her from that building into a building that was further away.
Okay. And where are you? Are you headed to that Reunification site to find her, or where are you going to go?
I'm going to go to the school, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you get on campus, what are you planning to do?
I'm going to call her, see if I can get her on the phone.
Okay. And you've been trying to get her on the phone and you can't reach her yet, besides the text?
She's just trying to make her way off of campus. We haven't tried to call at first. I didn't want to call in case I alerted the person to where anybody was.
Okay, so you were being cautious just in case her phone would ring and that would alert the active shooter just in case he was near her, but I hope apparently he wasn't, so that was a good thing. Yeah, and so this is a nightmare for parents all the time. We always worry about this constantly. And for this to happen where your daughter goes to school, I'm sure, are you still trying to process it, I would imagine?
Yes, I am. I'm still a ball of nerves, and I don't think I'm going to feel better until I actually see her.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your daughter, what year she is, what she's studying.
She actually graduates May 2nd. She's a senior, and she's her major is environmental sciences.
I'm sorry, environmental sciences?
Yes, ma'am.
So what does she want to do?
She hasn't decided yet.
She's still thinking about it. Okay, very good. Did she talk about the mental status or the emotional status of her friends that are around?
She says it was a scary situation, something she doesn't want to do again.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And so where are you right now on the road? How close are you to the campus?
I'm probably about 30 minutes away now.
30 minutes away. I know you're getting close. All right. Stay focused on the road. Describe for me, have you been to the student union yourself as a parent? Can you tell us about what that all looks like and the other buildings around it, how close they are?
I haven't been to the actual student union, but some of the buildings are spaced out, some are closer together.
Okay. And then are there bushes and shrubs around the student union, or just kind of an open grassy area? What's it look like around the student union?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like I said, I haven't been to the student union.
Have you thought about what you're going to say to her the first time, or just grab her and hug her?
I'm just going to hug her.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. And so have you notified everybody in your family now that she's all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I don't know if they told you or not, but there's a word that is being used by police. Did she tell you that? It's called seminal, which means that it's safe, that there are police officers officially there to help you.
No, I haven't heard that.
Okay, so that's a good word today. All right.
Okay.
Well, tell me, is there anything else that you want to say to other parents and families out there?
I'm praying for them.
Yeah, and especially now that we've learned that one person has died. I don't know if it's a student or whoever, but lots of prayers and thoughts and everything goes out to those families. That's going to be so difficult to deal with. Really, really tough. All right. Well, Ms. Stevenson, we'll stick with you on the phone for just a little bit here. I can't wait to find out how it is for you to actually see Chloe, and I hope I'm saying her name correctly. I couldn't hear you exactly.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Stevenson. Be safe now, and have a very happy reunion with your daughter best that you can. All right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Well, she was saying that her daughter actually heard gunshots, and then a while later heard police yelling and sirens. So you're right. She's on her way. She's 30 minutes away from the campus.
You can't stop parents from going. But here's the thing: when she gets to the campus, they're only going to allow her to go to the Reunification area. She won't be able to stroll on the campus and just walk around looking for Chloe. So she has to remember just follow the directions of law enforcement. She's gotten a text from her daughter. She knows that she's safe, and just wait for the reunion to happen.
I think she was very smart in making sure she didn't actually call her. She was worried that if in case.
Well, she could have had the phone on silent, but they don't think about that at the time, But she's been in contact with her, so that kind of eases her mind a little bit. It slows the anxiety down a little bit while she's traveling there, so she can drive safely or whatever. But the thing of it is, you don't want to get in a confrontation with law enforcement trying to find your child on campus. You want to do whatever they say, because if it's roped off, you're not going to get in, or if there's an authoritative figure there standing there, you're not going to get past them. So,
what does it say to you that there's this press conference now in about an hour and 10 minutes roughly? It doesn't necessarily mean that the situation is all safe. They would have a press conference if it's still not a clear situation, or does it mean they do have a clear?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, the search and the vetting can still be going on, but they'll hold a news conference if they've got the majority of it done, just to update everybody on it because of that anxiety. Everybody that's involved or have someone involved, they've got some sort of anxiety going on, and they want to know. So what they're doing is they're trying to just give you something versus just pictures of what we're seeing now. Give you something to go on and let them know that they're probably, I'm guessing, they'll probably say something to the fact that we believe this is a lone shooter. We believe that we have the situation under control. However, law enforcement is still vetting buildings and searching the areas just to make sure. They may give information on the suspect. If it's not too soon, they may come later on this afternoon. They're going to stress that the safety of the students and the faculty is of the utmost importance to them. That's why all they're concentrating on right now is rendering everything safe, which is the proper thing to do.
And we just got an official word from FSU that they are saying to students, please still shelter in place.
Yeah.
They want everybody to do that unless law enforcement contacts you with a safe word.
Till they give you the all clear.
So
just
that is
continue to do that.
So the all clear has not happened yet at FSU. We do know that 6 patients were taken to Tallahassee Memorial, but we have been just alerted that 1 person has died. So now this is a fatal active shooter situation. And so that is just the news we didn't want to hear, but it has happened. So I don't know if that was the critical patient or not. That would be maybe logical, but I'm hoping that the 5 people in serious condition will pull through. And so now we await for information from officials at 4 o'clock. That's a whole another hour and 10 minutes to wait this out at least. And hopefully they can get this situation resolved. This is a live picture here, and this is something, if anybody's listening upstairs and you know this campus better, or maybe you went to FSU, how close is this scene here live to the student union? Does anybody know that? I'm not sure about that, but it looks like traffic is going normally. It must be close to campus, right?
Yeah, Tennessee Street is close to the camp. Well, the campus is so big. You've got several streets, but Tennessee Street is one of the main streets where Florida State is. My wife is an alumnus of Florida State University, her and her two brothers, and all I used to hear about was Tennessee Street. So yeah, that's close to the campus.
All right, we are now going to go to a student from Jacksonville. His name is Nicholas Damone, and we're going to hopefully do a Zoom talk with him. Nicholas, you're okay. That's so good. Thank you so much. Tell me a little bit about where you were when this all happened. Tell me everything that you want to share.
Yeah, so I had class at around, I got out at about 11 o'clock, so I walked past that student union every day pretty much. So I was able to get home safely before I got an FSU alert on my phone basically saying there was an active threat on campus, thankfully.
And so you were out of that area, out of the student union area, a good little less than an hour than this happened, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So that was, I'm sure, a very harrowing close call for you, right? Would you
Yeah,
have been
no,
in the
it
student
was.
union at that time or no?
No, I walked right past it though on my way home from class though. So thankfully I wasn't there.
Okay, and so what's happened since then for you?
So yeah, basically I'm just across the street right from campus in my dorm, police cars by probably the hundreds honestly coming by our apartment. We just keep getting alerts through our phones basically telling us to stay sheltered. And yeah, we're just sitting it out, staying undercover and staying safe.
And what are you doing exactly to stay safe? I don't see a window by you, so that's good. Hopefully you're not sitting near a window.
No, we are just sitting here. I was working on some homework previously, but just waiting it out. Hopefully getting a clear message here soon by the university out on our message system telling us that things are still safe, but I hear it's still a very ongoing situation.
What is the last word you got officially on that system from FSU?
I can check here.
And if you don't mind, tell us what time that came in.
That came out at 2:46. They stated, continue to shelter in place. Law enforcement is actively clearing rooms on the main campus. Law enforcement officers will use the safe word Seminole to confirm it is safe to open the door. Continue to shelter in place until law enforcement contacts you.
So where were you then when the shooting happened? How far away from the student union?
My building is less than half a mile away from the student union.
And what was the reaction of everybody around you at that point?
Honestly, just sad. It's awful. It's terrible. It happens way too often. Obviously, like I'm here to get an education, hang with my friends, and enjoy school, and just something like this happening so close. You hear about it all the time on the news, but it happening less than a mile away, like I said, it's very sad. Yeah, most of us were just sad, a little bit angry. I don't know how someone could do something like this.
And those are powerful words. They're basic words, sad and angry, but they say a lot. So we really do appreciate your sharing those feelings with us, Nicholas. And so tell us about this student union building. For those of us who have not been on campus, describe what this building is like.
Yeah, so the student union it's a huge building. They've got study offices, they've got restaurants, they have a bowling alley downstairs. It's just a big place where students go throughout the day, take a break, get something to eat for lunch, or study.
And we don't know where this shooting happened. Does it normally have security guards at the building whenever you're in it?
I'm not aware of that, but I do know that FSU PD is very active on campus throughout the day. I see them every single day on campus, so hopefully they were quick in response.
So since this person had a gun, apparently, are there no metal detectors on those doors for the student union?
Not that I know of, no ma'am.
And how many doors in and out are there, would you say?
A rough estimate, I'd say probably three to four different entrances.
Okay. And then when somebody comes out, are they in a big wide open area where they could be easily seen? Or is there vegetation, trees and bushes and so forth where you could hide?
So on like the south side, on the opposite of Tennessee Street, there's called Legacy Walk. It's pretty shaded trees, but around the other three quadrants of the student union is pretty wide open.
So were you happy with the way you were alerted by FSU? Did they do everything you think that they could have to keep you all safe?
Yeah, I mean, the messaging system is huge. We get those anytime there's some sort of safety threat on campus, whether that be weather or something like this. So yeah, their response was very good.
So tell me who loves you and who got word that you're okay. I'm sure, did you text them or call them or tell me about that first contact, like I'm alive, I'm okay?
Yes, obviously my parents, my mom and my dad, they were happy. Basically just talking about the situation and why stuff like this goes on. It's just sad. It's just the biggest thing I have to say. It's terrible. I mean, these people that do these types of things, they probably don't no community ties, like no church, broken homes. They're just disconnected from the world, and they have no value for human life. So it's sad. It's really sad.
It's just difficult to even find words to describe how awful this whole thing is. And we see it all around the country, and then when it comes this close. And you grew up in Jacksonville, is that right? Did you go to high school here?
Yes, ma'am. I went to Wolfson High School.
Wolfson, okay. And without telling where your mom and dad live or anything like that, what type of work did they do?
They are law enforcement officials for Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
Oh, okay. So you grew up with lots of instruction then, so you knew exactly how to handle this situation then?
Yes, ma'am. Just tell me to always stay aware and stay on the tip of my toes. It's crazy people in this world.
Yeah, there are. Did you ever have to take precautions before? Did you guys go through training at FSU for active shooter training?
No, there's no sort of active shooter training, mostly just high school. I mean, we had code red drills and stuff all the time, so.
So what did you learn from the code red drills, or at least active shooter training at Wolfson?
For the most part, just they would have tape away from the door, basically saying, go to this corner if something ever happens. Obviously, stay quiet, get off your phones, turn the lights off. And then obviously, from my parents' background, they've always told me fight or flight. I mean, if you have the chance to run, run. But if you don't have the chance to run, obviously there's situations where you got to fight.
And then what were the words that you told your mom or your dad? Did you talk to both at the same time, and relive that for us?
Just basically telling them I love them, they love me, they're glad I'm safe. It's obviously a scary situation, but it's just good reassuring, letting them know that I'm okay. I'm sure my mom's heart was beating out of her chest when she heard about it, but.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. Well, I mean, we don't know yet anything about this particular suspect, and we don't know if there are more of them. I'm sure the rumors are flying on campus. We're just going to have to wait for an hour and 2.5 minutes to find out some more information. But we are very, very glad that you're okay, and that's the understatement of the year, I'm sure. But good luck with the rest of your studies, and thank you so much for taking a breath and being on camera with us right now. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. And we want to tell you, too, the University of North Florida President, Dr. Moaz Liman, has sent this message saying, our hearts have gone out now to the Florida State University community as they navigate the tragic events at their student union today. Many of us have family and friends and colleagues who attend or work at FSU, and he goes on to say, I urge you to offer your support and check on them during this difficult time. He says, I reached out to FSU president to assure him that we are here to help the FSU community in any way we can. Again, this is coming from the president of UNF in Jacksonville. UNF counseling services are available for anyone who needs assistance. Student resources are available through the Dean of Student Offices, Care Services, and additional resources for faculty and staff are available through UNF's Employee Assistance Program. So they're offering help in great detail there from UNF over to FSU. And that's important to talk about. You and I know that this is not going to be the end of it when everybody's safe and sound, because mentally you relive this stuff forever.
Yeah, and students, they'll be kind of apprehensive when they go back to their classes and what have you, but they'll be more alert. They'll be looking around, they'll be looking for signs of persons who may be depressed or expressing themselves through social media. who they may feel threatening, and that's always something that they need to tell somebody about. If they feel that a person has been pouring their heart out to them, they're depressed, they're maybe possibly suicidal or whatever, bring it to the attention of someone in authority so that they can look into it. A lot of times that goes unnoticed until it's too late.
You know, I've noticed something that these college kids have said, and Nicholas told us he was from Wolfson, so he's from Jacksonville. You couldn't hear, but his family's in law enforcement. I didn't want him to be too specific, but so he's got the background. But both the students we've talked to today said they got their training in high school.
Yeah, you know, part of the training, and I used to do some of that training, you have three options: run, hide, or fight. Those are your three options.
All right, your time now, 3 o'clock straight up. I'm Frank Wiley. This is a 10 Tampa Bay breaking news special report because at this hour we can confirm a suspect has been taken into police custody.
And I'm Jennifer Titus, and multiple victims were reported in a shooting on the campus of Florida State University.
Yeah, I want to show you your screen right here because this is something we've been following all afternoon. This coming down just around 12:15 or so this afternoon when we started covering this. That is Florida State University. You see right there on the map. We're also highlighting on the map the student union. That is where police tell 10 Tampa Bay this incident took place.
Yeah, so here's what we know so far. The shooting happened around noon in the area of the University Student Union. It's literally right in the middle of Florida State's campus. A suspect has been taken into police custody. We do know that at least 6 people have been hospitalized, including one person in critical condition. A spokesperson for Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare released that statement just a little bit ago.
Yeah, our CBS affiliate also confirming 5 of those individuals in serious condition. One person is in critical condition. We can tell you this as well. We took some time out because students were sheltering in place, Jen, and as you can imagine on a college campus, typically full of commotion. Some of those students reporting to us via text and phone conversations that it was eerily quiet.
And as we understand, that shelter in place is still ongoing right now. The last tweet from Florida State University came about an hour ago where they said that students still, anybody on campus still remain sheltered in place, that this is still an active scene, just trying to gather everything. We've seen ambulances at the university. We've seen numerous law enforcement running into campus, law enforcement running to ambulances.
Yeah. And what you're looking at right now on the screen, just kind of giving folks a bit of a play-by-play here. Students walking through the hallways right there on the campus of FSU with their hands raised. Obviously part of protocol, Jen, as you've covered many of these stories as we talk about police protocol and what takes place when we have an active shooter situation. These students are following whatever the orders are, but also law enforcement on campus not necessarily knowing if there's an additional threat that they need to adhere to.
And we did talk to some students who said at this time, at the noon hour when that first call came in, this is a very busy time for the university. People are in classes, very busy time for the student union, and that's why we are seeing so many videos of so many students there on campus. You're seeing them exit campus with their hands up. That is the protocol, like you said, to get to the other side of campus, get off of campus as law enforcement continues to rush into where the call came in.
And that's just some of the commotion that you're seeing right there on your screen. We are actively waiting to get a hold of more information as this is a fluid situation, but in a statement, the hospital says they are actively receiving patients, and you can imagine parents, loved ones, stomach in knots right now.
Yeah, and according to an FSU alert, the university's emergency notification and warning system told students to seek shelter and await further instructions. You can see in the video right there, the SWAT teams are going around, they're escorting people out.
Yeah, and some of the conversations that we've been able to listen in on throughout the afternoon, another one, right? Another situation. In fact, I want to listen in on a parent's comments with this situation.
What's going through your mind right now?
Oh, we got a call from my daughter before it hit the news. We've been on the phone with her for over an hour ever since. As a father, my wife's in the car and a mother, we are concerned for our daughter, but at least we're talking to our daughter and know that she is safe. Our hearts and prayers and minds are to anyone who's possibly had a child or a relative who's been injured or possible loss of life. And as a new pastor here in Tallahassee at the Bethel AME Church family on Orange Avenue, I am praying for our city and for the Florida State University community.
Yeah, you ever think anything would happen here when you send your daughter here?
You don't think it's going to happen, but with the level of gun violence in our country and with the level of mass shootings that occur, I think research shows that our country has more mass shootings than anywhere else on the planet. You always think in the back of your mind that someday something could happen. And a lot of anger for me comes from our policy with guns. And even in the state of Florida, how we made it easier for persons to own guns. We can't be a country that love our children and the citizens and continue to have the kind of gun policies we do. And I know everyone's going to say, no, don't rush to gun policy. Maybe some mental issues here or something, but we got to do something about that.
And you've been talking with your daughter. What has she been telling you?
She's just been real nervous because of not knowing what's going on, feeling safe, and then feeling not safe with movement, and just wanting this event to be over as far as this day and to be safe again in her home with her family.
You heard right there from a father, thoughts, prayers, and everything in between, as that man right there says he is a pastor. You know, we tell people to stay away from these situations as authorities are trying to do their part, law enforcement officials, but you can't tell a parent to stay away.
The text no parent ever wants to receive, and we know so many people right now, even in the Bay Area, unfortunately receive that text because so many parents are on their emergency alert system for the university, so we know parents even here received that text, the alert about the shooting that had taken place at Florida State.
Right, and we are expecting an update on situations there with a press conference from officials right there on the campus around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
There's not been any press conference yet, but we do know that one person is in custody. We've seen tweets all day from Attorney General Pam Bondi. The FBI director tweeted out saying that FBI is currently on scene as this investigation takes place, as they continue just to handle that scene that's going on right now.
That's one of the tweets you're talking about right there.
This tweet from Governor DeSantis: our prayers are with our FSU family, and state law enforcement is actively responding. He replied to a tweet from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement that said FDLE is actively engaged in the incident on FSU's campus, and we will update the public with more information as soon as possible. And a lot of the leaders right now that are in Tallahassee, that's basically what they've been tweeting out right now, that they're on scene, they're working to gather information. We do know that the White House has also been alerted, and they are monitoring the situation going on in Tallahassee right now too.
We alluded to the fact that this is a fluid situation. The stories that are coming out of this, including this one, according to the Associated Press, one student says he and about 30 other students out there hid in the bowling alley inside the student union after seeing students running. So a lot of the unknown is, you know, what spikes the anxiety with this situation. I believe we have sound from the president, President Trump. Let's go ahead and listen in.
I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later.
Okay, just hearing from President Trump right there as he's getting briefed on the situation. I imagine he and his team are waiting for all the updates that are coming in just under an hour, 4 o'clock. We just got this as well. FSU, of course, canceling all classes and university events. That includes athletic events Thursday, and urge students to stay away from the main campus because they are investigating this situation.
Yeah, we've seen all of the videos all day, like you just mentioned, the ones that were ducked down in a bowling alley at the student union. We saw videos on social media of classroom and just kids, students knocking on the doors, trying to get into the classroom, but when it's an active lockdown, everything is shut, everything is locked, because they don't know where the incident is actually happening. So just heartbreaking shows that we are seeing on social media. We do have more sound from a witness that we just mentioned that was there at FSU.
And people started rushing to the back, and everyone just started running out of the student union. So I made my way back out where the old bookstore is. About a minute later, we heard about 8 to 10 gunshots.
And then you mentioned that you saw someone that appeared to have been shot next to you? Or
yeah, so there was another gentleman that was running away, and he looks like he was shot in the pelvic area, and he laid down and he got help and assistance from the police.
And then you just made your way across the street. How long was it until you felt
I was
like you
there
were
for
safe?
probably about 45 minutes until they started clearing all around the around the student union, and then I had to walk around.
What was going through your head through the whole entire thing?
Just surreal. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Just being in here at college campus, everything was really quiet, then all chaotic.
Okay, so you heard it right there. Not necessarily what he said, which was harrowing, but how he said it.
Yeah, and
we
just-
talked about the anxiety of that situation.
And the chaos of just all of it. It's just
Yeah.
can't even imagine it. We do know that Florida State just put this out that all university classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday. Florida A&M University also canceled their classes today in response to the shooting at Florida State.
An important update there for FAMU, Florida A&M University, because as you were doing, I imagine, I'm doing it up here on the desk, calling friends and loved ones saying, hey, is your student okay? They said, oh, wait a minute, FAMU, Frank, is just a stone's throw right across the street from Florida State University. Let me make some phone calls.
That's what we've been mentioning about Tallahassee, is because so much does happen in Tallahassee, right? Florida State, Florida A&M, the capital, everything that is going on right there. And so that's why we know a lot of the agencies like Florida Department of Law Enforcement were able to make their way so quickly. We saw videos of just nonstop sirens right when the first alert came out. We were seeing videos on social media, just the amount of police presence that showed up quickly to Florida State once that first call came in, again around 12 o'clock. And right now we're going to hear a sound from a parent of a student at FSU.
My daughter was waiting at the table. We were looking at the menu, and I couldn't believe it. Like, shots started, it was surreal, and people just started running. She got trampled over. We went through an exit door, ran down a hall, and all the doors were locked except one going up a flight of stairs to exit. And we didn't think that would be a good idea, but there was about 70 of us or 50 of us in that, and we were just like trapped, like
So when
felt
did you
trapped.
get out of the union?
We went in the service elevator. There's about 50 of us in the elevator, and we went upstairs. And that was probably the scariest point, because we didn't know, it could get worse, right? The doors open, and two officers were there, guns drawn, yelled, "Did you see anything?" We're like, "No." "How do we get out?" They pointed that way, and just the adrenaline. We got outside, and just here we are. We ended up in a church across the street here. We've
What was
been
that
here.
moment like when the four of you were here and you knew you were safe?
Just like nothing you've ever felt before, or you could even explain. It's hard to explain. I mean, we're just blessed. I mean, how we got out of there, I can't, it's kind of surreal being at the church, because God was watching over us. I mean, definitely we could have went really bad. I hope all the people pray for their families and that they're okay. We don't know much right now.
And so, you hear it again, surreal. And in the backdrop of those conversations, not a lot of foot traffic, because everyone has been urged to shelter in place. When something like this happens, Jen, you hear the gunshots, immediately you think, I've got to go. But then, wait a minute, where do I go? Is it safe to go anywhere? So he says 50 to 70 people huddling in a space, just waiting for word that everything is okay.
And trying to get out. And then he said he ended up at a church there, and that's
Yeah.
really what everybody's doing right now, just praying that those numbers stay low. We know so far 6 hospitalized. Earlier it was 4 hospitalized. Now that number has gone up to 6. The hospital there in Tallahassee confirming that they
One
have
in critical condition.
They have received those patients, and it's unfortunate because we've covered shootings before. I've been on the scenes of Pulse and Parkland, and there was a shooting 10 years ago up at Florida State at the library, and it's just you see those numbers go up as the information releases, and you just pray that those numbers stay
A very
stay
fluid
as low as
situation,
possible.
and scary, of course, when you cannot get in touch with the people you know and love or in that space. This information coming within the last 60 minutes or so. Florida A&M University, as Jen just mentioned, right next to Florida State University. They posted this to X in response to the shooting incident at Florida State University. Florida A&M University is canceling all classes and student activities on main campus for the remainder of the day, effective immediately. This coming down about 45 minutes ago or so. Students may leave the engineering building but may not return to FSU's main campus. FAMU employees have the option to work remotely for the rest of the day.
Florida State also canceling all of their athletic events through Sunday. We're going to continue to probably see more cancellations happen as we learn more information. Like we said, we're going to hear from officials for the first time in about 45 minutes for a press conference to really hopefully answer some of these questions that we're all waiting for to see any information that's going on. I know people here in the Tampa Bay area and Tallahassee, everybody just wants that info to what happened around noon today.
Yeah, we have another student witness here. Not so much what they saw, but sometimes what they heard. Let's go ahead and listen in.
How are you feeling right now?
Like nervous, I'm scared for my friends, I'm making sure I'm checking up on them, and I just hope everyone's okay and this gets handled soon.
And you said you weren't on campus when the shooting
No,
happened?
I was parking my car, walking back, and as I was walking back, I see these group of girls crying, really upset, walking back from the student union, told me they heard gunshots, and they just ran and came back to their apartment where I was walking to.
Yeah. So what's going through your mind seeing that your school has had a shooting now?
Honestly, I just hope everyone's okay, and I hope that we can just do better precautions so this doesn't happen again. And I just feel awful for the students on there having to go through these emotions right now, dealing with scared for their lives, honestly. It's really scary.
And you said you had friends on campus at the time?
Yes, right now. They're still on campus. They're on lockdown right now.
And you've heard from them, they're doing okay?
Yep. Texted them. They just said they're scared, they're in lockdown, and they just want to go home.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just hope everyone's okay, praying for the people that are injured, and I just hope we can do better in the future.
Better in the future. That last part. You've sat in on many of these news conferences where officials are talking about refining their plans, and it's because they try to cover everything, but everything is a lot to cover.
Every year they take a look back at their plans. So many places now have active shooter plans because of the shootings that we've seen. Again, I just mentioned that back at I think 2014 at Florida State, there was a shooting outside the library where 3 people were shot, I believe. And, they go and they see that incident and then they go over their plans, their active shooter plans. But then, again, news breaks like this. And so they're hopefully in about 45 minutes, we'll figure out exactly what happened there.
Yeah.
And then, it's going to take months as the investigation goes on. And then they'll come back to those plans to see what they can improve and if there's anything that they could have changed to keep this from happening.
You mentioned 45 minutes or so. Jen is talking about the news conference where we are going to get an update on the situation from officials right there on the scene. I believe we have a tweet right there from U.S. Representative Kathy Castor.
I love FSU, the students, faculty, and the entire community. I pray that everyone is okay, and for the brave first responders rushing to help. Literally, I think every leader has tweeted something out about this shooting today. I was just looking at the Attorney General for Florida saying that his office is responding to the active shooter situation on FSU's campus, and we will provide updates as soon as they become available. We are praying for the entire FS community and our first responders. I just saw Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, same thing, just thinking and praying for everybody on the campus right now as this investigation is underway.
The thoughts and the prayers, and then hoping to supplement that with answers. That right there, a live shot, a live look at the scene right there on the campus of Florida State University. Again, this information coming down this afternoon around 12:15 or so, when we first got word that shots were fired and the campus was placed on lockdown. And those images, we are in the social media age, we know that. And some of the videos started being shared on X and other platforms as well.
You can still see how active of a situation it is. I mean, that's just one shot at the campus right there along Tennessee Street. You see a state trooper just kind of standing guard. They're probably just trying to get everybody out that does not need to be there so that law enforcement can, of course, rush in and make sure that they investigate this thoroughly and that everybody is accounted for and any victims are rushed to the hospital if that's needed. So you can see just how active, like you said, this happened around noon today, and it's 3 o'clock right now.
I want to ask our friends in the control room if we can bring back that video of the folks filing down the hallway with their hands raised, if we can have that. Because I know, Jen, again, you've sat in on many of these news conferences as they've tried to refine their approach. You're looking at that right there. So when we talk about a lockdown situation, that means no one in, but that also means no one out.
When the lockdown is in place and then once law enforcement does get on scene, that's when they clear and that's when they let the students out, but that's why they tell them to put their hands up so they can make their way outside of property and they just know that nobody has anything, there's nobody, that this is just people that were hiding in place that are now trying to evacuate to where they normally have a reconciliation center set up for family and whatnot. That's where they, that's where they will take. Reunification center is what it's called.
What is it called again?
A reunification center. And that's where they will set up for parents to go and pick up their students, to have anybody that is waiting for somebody that may have been on campus. Maybe it's a family member, a friend. That's where you go to the reunification center and make sure that everybody is accounted for.
So again, with the hands raised, that is telling people with your body language, I am not a threat. I am adhering to whatever you tell me to do.
And that means that that room, wherever they were in, that was cleared by law enforcement. Law enforcement cleared them to leave the scene.
But a large campus, so it takes time to...
Yes, because we saw the videos too of the students sheltering in place. They were under the desk, and we mentioned you hear the other students or anybody on the other side of the door knocking, let me in, and you can't because everything is so locked down. You're not supposed to open doors in that situation.
And so they keep the commands straightforward and simple in a situation like this, Jen, because every soundbite, or we say soundbite, every interview that we've heard here, people have described this as surreal, right? So you may hear people, but you're not necessarily listening to every detail that's shared. You have to be very straightforward with your communication to people in these situations. And again, you've kind of covered this in the news conferences in terms of direct communication.
Yeah, 100%. You can just see that these, again, are just so many students because of the time of day when this occurred on campus. This is right in the middle of the day. This is the student union. People are at the bowling alley at the student union. People are eating at the student union. And we know so many people right now watching us are so connected to Florida State in the Tampa Bay area. So many people with children at the campus. Maybe they went to Florida State. You just feel so connected to this university. And so when you see that headline there, 1 person in custody and 6 people hospitalized, many people just looking for answers to why this happened. And again, we're hoping to get those in about 40 minutes, the first press conference of the day on this.
No doubt we will get that update. Could you imagine the spectrum of emotions right there, having a good time in the student union? I surmise that is where the bowling alley is, but we did hear from somebody, if you're just now tuning in right here on 10 Tampa Bay Plus, we did hear from somebody who was talking about bowling with folks, and then moments later hearing that commotion with the gunshots, some 50 to 70 people doing what they could to take cover. Do we have that sound actually where the individual gave an eyewitness account of what he saw and what he heard?
And so many of these sound bites that we are listening to and these interviews, you just have to imagine the shock that so many of them are still in, right? Just hearing that, hearing the commotion, many of them saying they heard the gunshots. We saw video. We say that this comes so close to home, it hits so close to home. We had former workers sending videos of their kids at the university and witnessing this firsthand, videos that they were sending in because, again, this college is so connected to the community here.
Yeah, those gunshots are going to echo in the memory for some time now. Let's go ahead and listen in on that person who was in the bowling alley.
And people started rushing to the back, and everyone just started running out of the student union. So I made my way back out where the old bookstore is. About a minute later, we heard about 8 to 10 gunshots.
And then you mentioned that you saw someone that appeared to have been shot next to you. Or
yeah. So there was another gentleman that was running away, and he looks like he was shot in the pelvic area, and he laid down and he got help and assistance from the police.
And then you just made your way across the street. How long was it until you felt
I was there for probably about 45 minutes until they started clearing all around the around the student union, and then I had to walk around.
What was going through your head through the whole entire thing?
Just surreal. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Just being in here at college campus, everything was really quiet, then all chaotic.
I got to go, but I don't know where to go, right? That's the sentiment he's sharing.
Surreal, chaotic, it's the same words we're hearing over and over from those who were there. We believe that man there was also from the Tampa Bay area. We keep saying there's so many people from the Tampa Bay area that have a connection to Florida State University. We know 6 people have been hospitalized, including 1 person in critical condition, and we do know that a shooter is in custody.
Yeah, we also know that the hospital out there in that area said they are still receiving patients. Another live look at the scene right there on the campus of Florida State University. That campus on lockdown because of what we were talking about right there. Again, our CBS affiliate confirming 5 people in serious condition, 1 person in critical condition. And, you know, that actively receiving patients is the part that gives people pause, because you can only imagine some people may have trouble getting in touch with their loved ones.
And that's what we talked about. That reunification center is so important on scenes like this, because that's really where they know who is accounted for, who is not accounted for, answer families that are looking for the loved one, and that really helps out during times like this. And that's why they set those up, so they can hopefully understand how many people have been impacted, who has been impacted. And again, we know 1 person in custody and 6 people hospitalized.
Reunification in these circumstances is everything. Let's go ahead and listen in on another conversation that a parent had with us.
You always think in the back of your mind that someday something could happen. And a lot of anger for me comes from our policy with guns. And even in the state of Florida, how we made it easier for persons to own guns. We can't be a country that love our children and the citizens and continue to have the kind of gun policies we do.
And that gentleman telling us he's a pastor as well.
Pastor and a parent, praying and making sure everybody hopefully is safe, and that, again, that number of 6 hospitalized, that they will be okay. And again, we'll understand just the gratitude of it all in about 35 minutes for that first press
Jim,
conference.
we don't include ourselves in these stories, but you are a mom, and when you hear something like this happening, what goes through the mind of a parent?
I can't even imagine. Thankfully, I've never received that, but we know so many of our even colleagues that are here. We know they received that text from Florida State today saying that there is an active shooter on campus and that there is a shelter in place. We've talked to those people, so just trying to get a hold of their student, their daughter, their son, to make sure that they are okay. So unfortunately, we know so many of you guys watching right now probably did receive that text message, that emergency notification going out for the first time, Frank, around 12 o'clock when those first calls came in. And we saw Florida State tweet about an hour and a half ago that shelter in place is still in place. They are telling everybody that where you are, stay there. And like we said, we saw those videos of the students walking out. That means that anybody around the student union where they are having that investigation going on, that they have been cleared. And we saw those videos with their hands up as they exited campus to a safe place. The one guy that we saw made his way over near a church with 50, 70 different people trying to get out.
Unbelievable. I glanced at the clock right there, because when you gave that timestamp, that means that that shelter in place has been in place for about 3 hours now also, and just over 30 minutes or so we are expecting to get an update from officials out there about the situation.
Yeah, so here is a tweet now from Representative Vern Buchanan, grateful for the quick response by law enforcement to the shooting at FSU. Our prayers are with the victims, their families, and the FS community. He was replying to a tweet from FSU Alert saying that an active shooter has been reported in the area of the student union. Again, the student union right in the middle of Florida State's campus. Police are on scene or on the way, continue to seek shelter and await further instructions. Lock and stay away from all doors and windows and be prepared to take additional protective measures. I can't even imagine being a student and receiving that text right there, that tweet right there, just like you've seen it, you've heard about it, and now it's happening to us right now on campus.
Well, and in this day and age, everybody knows someone or they've been that someone in those circumstances, unfortunately, and the shorter the alert that you receive, the more questions you have. That is because the active investigation is ongoing. SWAT teams going around escorting some of the people out. We showed the video as you described what we were seeing right there, the reunification spot that is set up outside some of these buildings. It's an impromptu thing.
Yeah, no, they are so important for situations like this. We saw it at Surfside down in Miami. We saw it in Orlando for Pulse. They set up these reunification centers because they need one spot to send people to make sure, because it is so chaotic, right? We keep on hearing that word over and over again, chaos. That is what is happening on the campus right now. So they have these centers set up so that those family members, those loved ones can go to one place, and anybody on the campus can then go to that place as well, and they can know exactly who is accounted for and who is not accounted for, and that helps with the investigation.
Chaos, bedlam, and anything in between, and you're trying to walk through those spaces calmly. You're looking at a live shot right there on the campus of Florida State University. I imagine people have been doing just that right there as you saw that lady walking through the frame of that shot on their phone, trying to let people know that they are accounted for. They are indeed okay. That shooting happening around noon in the area of the University Student Union right there.
Yeah, look at that. You just look at that live shot right now, and we talked about this happening 3 hours ago, and you see still the huge presence right there. We see the highway patrols, we see the ambulances still on campus as this investigation is ongoing. You are seeing people walk around there, and I think that tells us that the campus is not on lockdown.
Just got that update,
any
in fact.
further. New update right now. So we are seeing a lot more people for the first time actually walking around this live shot. We've been watching this shot now for the past 30 minutes where you really did not see anybody, and now we do know that that lock in place is no longer in place.
Locked down for more than 3 hours.
Yes.
And we do know this as well. A suspect is in custody as the FBI and all the other law enforcement officials, as this has become a team effort, are investigating this situation. But again, you just made mention, campus no longer on lockdown.
Yeah, and we do know that FBI and Jacksonville and Tallahassee resident agencies are on the scene and assisting local law enforcement partners. ATF Tampa also said they were on the scene and assisting local police enforcement.
And you know, the other update here, and I hope this is not the situation that continues throughout the day, but we did receive word that 6 people have been hospitalized because of this. One person in critical condition in the hospital, letting us know right here in the newsroom that they are actively still receiving people into their emergency room because of this situation.
And we talk about how we know so many people in this community that's impacted right now. I just got a parent of a student there, just texted us, a former employee here, saying that they just received this, that law enforcement has neutralized the threat. Please avoid the student union, Bellamy, HCB classroom building, Robetta A&B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Hecht House, and Caraway, as they are still considered an active crime scene. Individuals are free to move about other areas of campus. Individuals who may have witnessed anything of value should call. If you have somebody that was there who witnessed this, 850-891-4987. That's 850-891-4987. That is the latest text message that just went out from Florida State University.
So this indeed is a fluid situation as details continue to come in. I want to take a chance right now to reset what we're doing right now, as your phone probably has been receiving all the alerts. I'm Frank Wiley. This is a 10 Tampa Bay breaking news special report, and right now we can confirm a suspect has been taken into police custody.
And I'm Jennifer Titus. Multiple victims were reported in a shooting on the campus of Florida State University.
Yeah, all of this information coming in this afternoon around 12:15 or so. I want to show you this right here on your screen. Actually, we have an interview that we want to get to. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Hey, okay, so this is actually Bryce Vance, and this is the parent who had just texted me. He's a former employee here, so we know Bryce very well here at the station. He is now a student at Florida State. Bryce, you are a sophomore now these days?
Yes, I am a sophomore.
Okay, and so tell me, now you're on campus at noon when these shots ran out?
I was.
Okay, so tell me about that. I can't imagine everything that you've gone on for you the past couple of hours, but can you just tell us what you remember from that noon hour?
So I was in class, my 11:35 class for cost accounting, and I was in there for 10 minutes. And there was some commotion going around, people talking, and someone said out of the blue, "Hey, my girlfriend just told me," saying there was an active shooter and there was people running everywhere. And once that happened, everyone went quiet, and then we actually heard a few shots because the building was actually like a 2-minute walk away from us.
Bryce, I imagine that must have been just horrifying as you're walking and you know that gunshots have been fired. You don't know where the threat is coming from.
Yeah, no idea.
And did you even know that at that moment that those were gunshots that you're hearing?
Well, obviously, once I got said that there was an active shooter, I just naturally assumed it was.
Can you tell us how long they went out on for, or how many you heard?
I mean, I don't know how long specifically, but I know I heard like at least 2 or 3.
And then how long were you stuck on campus for, or in shelter in place?
So I was in my classroom for like 30 minutes, and then the police escorted us out of the building and made us put our hands up, and we actually walked out of a door where the glass was shattered.
Bryce, what are some of the things that your classmates, your friends are saying about what has happened as they describe what took place? Are we still trying to make sense of this, I imagine?
I mean, there's a lot of like rumors and speculation going around. So like, I'm still like confused too. I don't really have a clear idea. Like, I don't want to like throw any more false rumors out there. But like, I know for a fact. Like obviously, I just got the FSU message saying that the suspect was shot, I think, which is good to hear.
During those 30 minutes, Bryce, can you kind of just walk us through kind of just, you're sitting there sheltered in place, like what you're hearing, what's going on in those 30 minutes?
So we actually had a window that we could look through, but we were actually able to see like 30 or 40 cop cars just in the parking lot with school officers on in and out of each building. And I was actually able to see 2 people stretchered off and put in the ambulance.
My goodness. And Bryce, we often hear people say, as we have today, I never imagined something like this would have happened, especially when I'm in that space. What were you thinking that I'm actually a witness to something like this?
I mean, it's just crazy because like when you like the college life, you should enjoy it, should like get into classes and try to get a good job after. It's like we're just trying to like live our lives, and no one really expects this to happen.
Yeah, again, this is Bryce Vance. He is a sophomore at Florida State University. His father, a former colleague of ours here, and so he says that he was where he was. He heard the alert, and then he heard 2 to 3 gunshots, and then he was sheltered in place for 30 minutes. And now, Bryce, you've made your way off of campus now. Where are you at now, and what is the scene like? Can you still see the campus from where you're at?
Yes, I can still see the campus. Unfortunately, actually, the dorm again is like the closest dorm to the student union, which is where the shooting place. And thankfully, cops were able to transfer a group of students towards like the dorm area.
Sure.
So I'm in my dorm right now, and I'm attending.
Right, Bryce. How close are you to that student union?
Walking distance, like 3 to 4 minutes.
3 to 4 minutes away from that, so definitely near the space where all of this was taking place.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, Bryce. Well, we definitely appreciate you taking some time out to chat with us about this situation as you're working to learn more as well. I imagine that everybody in your space has been able to reach out to their loved ones and have some conversation and let them know that they are indeed accounted for.
Yes, for sure. I'm just glad no one that I know is personally affected by this, but I know other people are definitely affected by this, and I'm definitely praying for them.
And so tell me, when you're locked in place, did you have to barricade yourself in that classroom?
Yes, because the doors weren't locked. So we had to barricade it with some classroom chairs that we had, and like anything that was good to barricade the doors.
Have you had a chance to completely unpack when you come back from this break? Because clearly this was not something anybody imagined, but I know that as you go to orientation for the new year, one has these conversations, but again, always hoping that something like this would never happen, then again, never happen this close to you.
I really hope this doesn't happen again.
All right, Bryce. Well, I thank you so much for taking some time out right there. I know that the connection is a bit of an issue because a lot of people are probably doing exactly what you're doing right now, which is reaching out to loved ones to let them know, again, that they are indeed accounted for. I appreciate your time.
For sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Bryce. You're hearing right there from Bryce Vance. He is one of many students who are at the, Florida State University right now, trying to wrap their heads around what has just happened on the campus that they love so much. You're joining us here on 10 Tampa Bay. I'm Courtney Robinson.
And I'm Dave Wagner. Normally an idyllic scene there at Florida State University, a beautiful campus, and today it's a scene of real tragedy. What we know at this point is that at least 6 people are being treated at local hospitals. There are other reports out there right now, but what we can confirm is at least 6 people are being treated. We will continue to bring the updates as those come into us. And the gunman, we're told, is in custody. What that means, we really don't know. We don't know if the gunman is alive or dead at this point, and we don't know who that gunman is.
FSU saying the threat has been neutralized and lifting that lockdown just a few minutes ago. This all started around noon this afternoon in Tallahassee, and so many people were at the Student Union. That's where this all centered around, the student center on the campus of Florida State University. You know, and not too far away, we also have lawmakers in session in Tallahassee as well.
That student union is on the north side of campus there, and we want to go over right now, if we can, to 10 Tampa Bay's Aaron Parsegian, who's standing by live with more information for us right now. Aaron?
Yeah, David Courtney, you mentioned it. This shooting all happening just a couple miles away from the state capitol in Tallahassee, where lawmakers were in session, and that had to go into a brief lockdown. But when you see the tragic images like this, parents consoling students running from campus, you can't help but think about 7 years ago during the tragic shooting in Parkland. We all remember Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, at the time the deadliest school shooting in Florida history, which sparked nationwide protests and also changed Florida state law. Shortly after that shooting in 2018, state lawmakers passed, and then Governor Rick Scott signed off on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Public Safety Act, which made a number of changes to state law, putting things like red flag laws in place, raising the age to buy a long gun to 21. Now, after I mentioned that shooting in 2018 that sparked that nationwide protest, that's also because of parents, students speaking out about concern. And now, in the wake of the state shooting at Florida State, we're seeing parents also raise similar concern. Take a listen.
We can't be a country that love our children and the citizens and continue to have the kind of gun policies we do. And I know everyone's going to say, no, don't rush to gun policy. Maybe some mental issues here or something, but we got to do something about that.
And we're seeing state lawmakers from across the spectrum weigh in, offering their prayers, condolences in the wake of this shooting. Of course, as we mentioned, the Florida State Capitol was in a brief lockdown while this was all happening, just a couple miles away. Here's one of those responses from State Rep Hillary Cassell. She was a Democratic Party member, now a Florida Republican Party member. She's also a current student at FSU, posting this message on Twitter. She says, "Today we grieve, tomorrow we continue the fight for a safer Florida." There's a couple weeks left here in the legislative session. So, of course, when you have a tragic moment of this magnitude, it's something that's going to be discussed a lot in these final weeks among state lawmakers. Dave, Courtney.
All right, and there's a news conference we're told coming up at 4:30 today, so hopefully we'll be able to take that live and bring you the latest information from the scene there.
And, you know, hearing from so many parents right now who have children who are up there, the freshmen all the way through seniors, many alums as well that we have been speaking with. And you can see people moving around the campus right now. But a lot of parents saying how grateful that they are that their children are okay. Talking with a friend of mine, her child was off campus. She is okay, but her roommate was in the union and was put on lockdown. That lockdown just lifted. And, you know, she will be making her way back home shortly.
Yeah,
Others
talk about the trauma involved in that, not just for the obviously the students injured, but the students who witnessed this. About 44,000 students are on the campus there at FSU, and it's a large campus there. It's many acres, hundreds of acres, and so it's a big place. And I think at various points here, it was clear the students really didn't know where this was all happening. They saw students running. They were confused by what was happening, as you would expect in this day and age of social media. There is so much information out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation and disinformation as well.
And that, we are right now, these are the facts that we have at this moment. We do know that the shooter is in custody. The threat has been neutralized. Lockdown has been lifted. Again, there are 6 people in the hospital. We're told one of those individuals is in critical condition. We have FBI response, of course, Tallahassee police, so much law enforcement presence on campus right now, and also first responders, ambulances, fire trucks.
Alcohol, tobacco, firearms from Tampa is on scene there. This investigation is one aspect of this. Obviously, the treating of the injured is another. And then students trying to communicate with those they love, trying to let them know that they're okay. So right now, investigators are making sure that the campus is safe for everyone, and they've said that. But classes are canceled at Florida State University, as you would expect, and also at Florida A&M University. They have also canceled classes as well. So it's affecting an awful lot of students on this day. This is a university that is not that is unfortunately familiar with this. In 2014, on the main library there at Florida State, 3 people were wounded. Officers shot and killed the gunman in that. In that particular case, that was a 31-year-old man. So unfortunately, they've had experience with this in the past.
And so many campuses, unfortunately, have also experienced this. In Florida, our law enforcement, they are well trained for these situations. And you can see these students right here walking, their hands raised. This, as law enforcement, were making sure that everyone was safe, making sure that they cleared buildings, that they made sure that the threat, as we mentioned, was neutralized. Yeah,
we heard from Bryce Vance just a little while ago. You saw his interview live here on 10 Tampa Bay. We've also been hearing from other students as well. There was a student, Ryan Settergan, 21-year-old communications student, who talked about that he and 30 others, they hid in the bowling alley in the student union's lower level there after seeing students run out of there. In his words, this is a quote, "In that moment, it was survival." You can understand just the sheer terror. Sometimes you don't know what's going on. You hear there's a shooting. We've had so many false alarms over the years. You just don't know if it's real. But in this case, it certainly is, and we've seen the injured.
And think about right now, these children who are, well, I should say young adults who are on campus, they grew up in the active shooter environment, right? Where they were taught from a very young age what to do in these situations. And I know a lot of parents right now also just glad that everybody that we've spoken to is okay, but of course certainly reeling from the 6 people who were shot in the situation.
This is a pretty fluid situation right now. Mandy, can you tell me again? We're going to hear
a parent.
Yeah, parent. Obviously, parents very concerned about this. Let's take a listen here.
My daughter was waiting at the table. We were looking at the menu, and I couldn't believe it. Like, shots started. It was surreal, and people just started running. She got trampled over. We went through an exit door, ran down a hall, and all the doors were locked except one going up a flight of stairs to exit. And we didn't think that would be a good idea, but there was about 70 of us or 50 of us in that, and we were just like trapped,
so when did you get out of the union?
We went in the service elevator. There's about 50 of us in the elevator, and we went upstairs. And that was probably the scariest point because we didn't know, it could get worse, right? The doors open and, 2 officers were there, guns drawn, yelled, "Did you see anything?" We're like, "No." "How do we get out?" They pointed that way, and just the adrenaline. We got outside, and just here we are. We ended up in a church across the street here.
What was that moment like when the 4 of you were here and you knew you were safe?
Just like nothing you've ever felt before, or you could even explain. It's hard to explain. I mean, we're just blessed. I mean, how we got out of there, I can't, it's kind of surreal being at the church because God was watching over us. I mean, definitely we could have went really bad. I hope all the people pray for their families and that they're okay. We don't know much right now.
Hearing there from a parent who was on campus with his family at the time. There are student tours that are happening right now as students in high school are getting ready to make that decision on where they're going to be. I believe that was actually Chris Pinto, who is a Tampa father. He and his family are up there right now on a tour. I've been talking with his wife, Ellie, as well, and we're working to get them. They're now on the way home. But again, being trapped in the middle of all of that and just the emotions, trying to protect your family as well.
Well, and you think about, so many parents out there all over the country. Unlike local shootings where students are in elementary, middle, or high school, parents are all over the country wondering what's happening with their kids. And we certainly are talking to students as well. We have someone named Anna Tate on the phone.
Anna, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Anna, I'm so glad to hear your voice. I'm glad you're okay. Can you tell us where you were, what you saw, what you heard?
Yeah, so I was in a classroom on Landis Green, kind of farther away from where the active shooter was. But I could hear a bunch of police sirens going on for 5 minutes straight, and I thought, okay, something must be going on. This doesn't seem normal. And then one of my friends in my sorority texted our group chat and was like, hey, a girl just ran in my car, said there was a shooter, and asked if she could drive her away. So then 2 seconds after that, we got the text from FSU saying active shooter, take shelter. And then the sirens went off over the intercom. And I was escorted out of my lecture hall into a small office building.
And talk about where you were kept there and where you stayed during this time. How long were you secured in an area?
I was in this dark office building for about getting calls, texts from my family, random alleged rumors of, oh, there's one shooter, there's two shooters, one's down, one's not. So.
Anna, I imagine, the first people that you wanted to talk to were your parents, probably. Let them know that you're okay.
Yes, I texted them. I didn't want to call them because it was quiet. But I had a friend who I knew was at the student union. And so, honestly, he was the first person I called because that was the one person I knew was there. And he answered the phone and he was running away. And I'm just glad that he's safe, too.
Anna, let me ask you, where is your home? What do you call home?
In Tallahassee or in Tampa?
Where are you originally from?
Oh, I'm from South Tampa.
South Tampa, okay. Let me just ask, when you were in school growing up, I assumed you went through these active shooter drills as a young student. Did you go through any of that kind of training at FSU as well?
No, I've never experienced any sort of training or lockdown here. Even my professor was kind of torn on what to do. She's not even from America, so no one really knew what was going on.
Anna, was it law enforcement that finally came in and told you everything was okay and you could go home?
One of the teachers that was in there with us heard a knock and went outside, and then law enforcement finally came and got us, and they told us that we were free to leave.
What was the reaction from your parents when you reached out to them?
Well, my dad called me right away, and I was like, I can't talk, I don't want to make noise. My mom actually didn't answer at first. She was on a call somewhere else. So when they finally read my text, they just told me, sit in the corner, put your backpack in front of you, don't try and be a hero, and, just stay down, but be aware.
You've been on campus there for something really tragic, and I know it's really fresh right now, but how has this so far sort of changed your experience on this campus? I would imagine such a beautiful campus and a great school. How is this affecting you right now? What kind of emotions are going through your head?
So I think now when I hear a siren, in my heart, I felt something was kind of wrong. At first I was a little distraught, I couldn't stop crying, but I was in a room full of people who, everyone was silent, so I was just, all you could hear was just sniffles, and so I was distraught, going through, I feel the stages of shock. Now I'm sitting back in my apartment, and it just feels really surreal, I guess. I'm pretty shaky still. Yeah.
And we understand that. I mean, again, just glad to hear your voice here, Anna. And for those who aren't familiar with the Florida State campus, can you talk to me about the student union, about that, kind of at the heartbeat of campus? I'm sure that that's where a lot of students gather, especially around noon, because there are food halls there, right?
Yes, there's like a Panera, a Starbucks, which is always busy. It's pretty much always busy, and it's right near, it is in the center of campus, so it's right near these classrooms. We call a huge classroom building, which holds like 300 people, and there's like 2 of those right there, and so I imagine it was extremely busy at noon.
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
We understand, Anna, the scene there when this was going on was pretty chaotic. Can you describe the scene as you look outside right now?
People are still walking around campus. There's less, but cops are just like everywhere. They have a handful of buildings taped off as like an active crime scene. So they recommend you don't walk on campus, but we did get the text that the threat was neutralized. So.
And you said you're getting just a lot of different texts with different, potentially misinformation as well, but a lot of you trying to figure out what happened.
Yes, I think sitting in the room and just hearing all of like the news posts, maybe something that was wrong, or someone had texted me and said that there was still like active shooters that were dressed up as cops knocking on doors, and so that ended up being a rumor. But in the moment, I was terrified. I was still stuck in this room and had no idea what was going on, and my family was freaking out. My friends, people I used to go to high school with, just everyone blowing up my phone.
When you were on your phone, were you getting, you mentioned the one saying that people were going door to door dressed as police officers here. Were you getting helpful information, or was it a lot of misinformation and disinformation coming to your phone?
I would say about half and half. No, but it was more, they were saying all these people were dead, or, don't move, which I think was very helpful. I'm glad that nobody tried to leave the classroom. That was really, helpful. But just the rumors going around already, I think it's crazy already.
And Anna, again, for those who are just joining us, we are talking about the shooting that happened this afternoon on the campus of Florida State University. Anna Tate is on the phone with us. She is a student at FSU and was in a classroom when this happened. And Anna, you said it was a faculty member that led all of you to a really safe place.
Yes, he led us down into a super small room. You couldn't see out the windows, and I was behind a desk in the corner. I think I was in the safest spot. So it definitely felt better than being in the giant lecture hall full of windows that I was previously in.
Oh, so you were in a giant lecture hall. How many students were with you?
The lecture hall wasn't filled, so I'd say about 40 or 50.
Anna, do you have people to talk to? And I know this has just happened within the last few hours, but are they making it clear that students have people to reach out to talk to kind of talk through their concerns about this?
Yes, they mentioned that at the Civic Center where we have like our basketball games, there's resources and you can go there and talk to somebody. And they canceled school tomorrow and they canceled all sporting events. But I have a feeling that they may cancel school for like the rest of the semester.
Wow, and you have exams and whatnot coming up as well, so you can only imagine that things are going to look very different as you close out this semester. We do want to let you know, right now we have learned that at least one person was killed in this shooting, 6 others wounded. Again, after the shooting at Florida State University, there are also a number of buildings. FSU has told students that are closed because they are active crime scenes. That includes the Student Union, Bellamy, HCB, Classroom Building, Rivetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Hecht House, and Caraway. Just for families who are joining us and wondering what's happening and where things are, those buildings are closed. The lockdown has been lifted. That was lifted around 3:15. And Anna, you're back in your home as well. Oh, Anna, thank you.
She's got other things to deal with right now. That was Anna Tate from South Tampa, a student at FSU there. We also heard from Bryce Vance earlier. There was so much confusion, and you can certainly understand this during that time when students really weren't sure what the threat was, whether or not it was real, whether or not it was fake. But we do know at this point that at least one person is dead and many others injured. So this is indeed what they would refer to as a mass shooting at Florida State. It's unfortunate when you go on that campus. It is such a pretty campus, and you just sometimes feel like, you know, nothing bad can ever happen here. But it happened in 2014 as well. So unfortunately, they're familiar with this kind of thing.
Well, when you're on a college campus, you feel safe. That's your home for at least 4 years. And, you know, to have something like this not only rock your campus, it also impacts all of the other universities, colleges, and high schools that are here in our state, as well as we think about, you know, education and keeping that a safe space. We do have crews that are on the way to Tallahassee from both Jacksonville and here in Tampa, bringing us coverage. But we also have Christian Benavidez, who is there in Tallahassee, has more information. Christian.
Multiple agencies, including Florida State Police, rushed to the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee after reports of an active shooter.
Just surreal. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
This video captured students running across the street as the chaos unfolded at the Student Union around noon.
People started rushing to the back and everyone just started running out of the Student Union. About a minute later, we heard about 8 to 10 gunshots.
An active shooter alert was sent out and instructed people to stay away from all doors and windows, as many students sheltered in place in classrooms.
We got the desks and started piling them up against the door. We tried to get the bigger desk, the main desk, the presenter's podium against the door.
This father rode a service elevator with 50 others trying to reach safety.
The doors open and, you know, 2 officers were there, guns drawn, yelled, "Did you see anything?" We're like, "No."
CBS News Miami reports a suspect is in custody after being shot in an exchange of gunfire with police. Several victims are hospitalized with injuries, including one in critical condition.
I just hope everyone's okay, praying for the people that are injured.
President Trump reacted to the news from the Oval Office.
It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place.
All classes and events are canceled at FSU for the remainder of the day. Christian Benavidez, CBS News.
And since Christian filed that report right there, we have learned that one person has indeed died.
And, you know, we still have 6, yes, at least one person, 6 others, as Christian pointed out, still in the hospital. And certainly prayers for their recovery and for their families as well. And I know so many of you at home right now watching, you may have students on the campus of Florida State, individuals living in Tallahassee wanting to know what's going on. That threat has been neutralized, but there are a number of buildings that remain shut down at Florida State because they're part of an active crime scene now.
You can understand this is also concerning to other schools as well. We did get a statement from the University of South Florida saying the University of South Florida community is devastated by the events that have taken place today in Tallahassee. We continue to monitor the latest situation and gather more details about this tragic situation. Our thoughts are with the FSU community, and we stand in solidarity to offer any support we can. Again, that's from the University of South Florida.
And there are so many questions about what happened around noon on campus, and we're going to hear from law enforcement shortly. We're expecting to hear from law enforcement in Tallahassee around 4:30 this afternoon. So that is coming up, and hoping that in that we'll be able to get some answers specifically about the shooter, about the individuals in the hospital, and you know, what they may know sparked all of this.
Right. We also have learned that all Florida State athletics home events are canceled through Sunday. Through this Sunday, they've been canceled. Further updates, they said, on events scheduled for next week will be communicated when available. That is from Florida State University. We also heard from the president, who was informed about this early on. He said that they are he was in a meeting with the Italian Prime Minister when he mentioned this. He says, "I've been briefed on the Florida State University shooting." And it was at the time, he said, "I guess it's an active shooter." Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place, and we'll have more to say about it later. That was probably a couple of hours ago that we heard from the president on that.
And we were talking with Anna Tate, who is a student at FSU, with Bryce as well. I mean, these are students who grew up being trained really in how to respond to an active shooter situation. And Anna talked about that as well. She talked about how the teacher in the lecture hall that she was in with almost 50 other students, very calmly led them to safety in an office where they all kind of gathered together. There were no windows, that door was locked, and he was the one that went outside when there was a knock at the door.
Yeah, although Anna also mentioned in that interview, which I thought was interesting, that they didn't seem to know what to do.
Right.
The professor that she was with did not seem to know what to do, and that she had not been trained in this kind of thing. We do want to go to some sound from a student witness here at Florida State University. Let's listen to what they have to say.
How are you feeling right now?
Like nervous, I'm scared for my friends, I'm making sure I'm checking up on them, and I just hope everyone's okay and this gets handled soon.
And you said you weren't on campus when the shooting
No,
happened?
I was parking my car, walking back, and as I was walking back, I see these group of girls crying, really upset, walking back from the student union, told me they heard gunshots, and they just ran and came back to their apartment where I was walking to.
Yeah. So what's going through your mind seeing that your school has had a shooting now?
Honestly, I just hope everyone's okay, and I hope that we can just do better precautions so this doesn't happen again. And I just feel awful for the students on there having to go through these emotions right now, dealing with scared for their lives, honestly. It's really scary.
And you said you had friends on campus at the time?
Yes, right now they're still on campus. They're on lockdown right now.
And you've heard from them, they're doing okay?
Yep. Texted them. They just said they're scared, they're in lockdown, and they just want to go home.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just hope everyone's okay, praying for the people that are injured, and I just hope we can do better in the future.
Those are good words, and hopefully we can.
And you heard her talking about texting friends. When we spoke to Anna, she said the first person that she texted was the young man that she knew was in the student union at the time, and made sure that he was doing okay, and he was also in lockdown at that moment. Just a busy, really the heartbeat of campus, a busy area of campus, the student union, and it was also noon. So you have students that are there eating lunch and kind of taking a break from class, probably enjoying this beautiful weather that we have, and then to have this.
Beautiful spring day. We have some sound, I believe, from another student, I think, as well. A parent. This is a parent.
And people started rushing to the back, and everyone just started running out of the student union. So I made my way back out where the old bookstore is. About a minute later, we heard about 8 to 10 gunshots.
And then you mentioned that you saw someone that appeared to have been shot next to you? Or
Yeah, so there was another gentleman that was running away, and looks like he was shot in the pelvic area, and he laid down and he got help and assistance from the police.
And then you just made your way across the street? How long was it until you thought
I was there for probably about 45 minutes until they started clearing all around the around the student union, and then I had to walk around.
What was going through your head through the whole entire thing?
Just surreal. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Just being in here at college campus, everything was really quiet, then all chaotic.
You never stop worrying about your kids, and doesn't matter, if they go off to college or whatever. If they're on their own, you never stop worrying. And I just cannot imagine as a parent thinking about that, and your child up there and worrying about them.
And a lot of those parents were there because they were on college tours.
Yeah.
Their students have been accepted to Florida State. They're trying to decide, is Florida State where they're going to be? And so to be there with your child and to go into that protection mode as well. He was saying 8 to 10 gunshots that he heard, and even seeing somebody who had been wounded there and getting that response. It happened 12:01 is when that alert went out, and of course one thing that we'll find out is what that response time was by police and by first responders in Tallahassee, how quickly they were able to get to the scene. But it sounds they were there pretty quickly.
The sad reality is with the weapons that are often used, and we don't know for sure what kind of weapons were used in this, but so often these rapid fire weapons, the damage is done very quickly, and it's police can arrive, try to neutralize the shooter there. But in this case, we now know that one person is dead. I believe at least 6 injured is what we're reporting right now. There are various reports out there, but that is what we're reporting at this point that we can confirm. So this was something that I'm sure for many of these students never imagined that a place like Florida State, a place that feels so safe, that something like this would ever happen.
Well, you never imagine a school is going to be that place, whether it's college or elementary school or a high school. So I know that there's a lot of questions, and we're hoping to get some of those answers coming up here at 4:30. We also spoke with a student. Do we have a live? Okay. This is actually a mother who's joining us. This is Eli Pinto. Eli, are you on the phone? Ellie? Yeah. Sorry, Ellie.
Yes, it's Eli.
Is it Eli? Okay. And we heard from your husband earlier. I think he was talking with the media that were up there in Tallahassee. You all were there for a school tour, is that right?
That's correct. We had just finished touring the College of Nursing and the College of Business and had a phenomenal morning. We were reveling in how great the campus was. Everybody was. It was a great tour, and we were stopping into the Union for lunch.
And you all are a Tampa family, and also Florida State alums.
No, I'm actually a Florida.
I'm sorry, I was given this information. Okay. Sorry about that. But okay.
That's okay.
But being up there, being with your family on that campus, I can't imagine having your child right there and then to hear these gunshots.
Yeah, it was pretty unreal. We were, and actually we have boy-girl twins. We were up there touring the college for both of them. And we were in the Union getting ready to have lunch, and our daughter was actually saving a table for us while my son and my husband and I were ordering lunch. And when the gunshots rang, mad chaos ensued, and we couldn't find Avery, which was the scariest day of my life. And then we found her, and she was on the ground as people were rushing out of trying to find safety. And the four of us, unfortunately, where we were in the basement of the Union at the restaurant, and we kind of ran into a dead end, and we had to end up taking a service elevator out of the building to get to safety.
You must have felt really helpless during that time when you could not reach your daughter, did not know if she was okay. We as parents do everything we can to try to protect our kids, and you must have felt helpless at that point.
I did, and we could pray. I mean, I prayed so hard to find her and to get all of us to safety. And, ironically, when we crossed over Tennessee Street, we ran into a Catholic church, and all we did was just pray for the victims, pray for the families of those affected, and pray for no more violence that day. It was awful.
Did you all hear those gunshots? Did you?
We did.
How many gunshots did you hear?
If I had to guess, probably 12 to 15 before we started really realizing the magnitude of what was going on, and then just everybody just went in different directions to get out of the Union.
And now you all are driving home, right? Coming back to Tampa. Yeah. Getting back in your car, to come back home to safety, I just can't imagine what that feeling was. Was it relief?
No, it was kind of disbelief, to be honest. I mean, it was, you don't expect, like I said earlier, we went on this amazing college tour. Both my kids fell in love with the school. They still love the school. I mean, they were just like, we could see ourselves here. We kind of debriefed on that in the car, but you don't believe when you're, having an amazing, beautiful day like this, that something like this could happen.
Yeah. That
it's
makes
disbelief.
I would imagine. So, these days, children, as we've talked over the past few minutes here, have been trained in active shooter drills. During a moment like this, how much can you really rely on that? Or are you just caught so off guard, you can't really put those things into motion?
Well, I think I was the most panicked. Ironically, my son, because both of our children are in high school and they both have active shooter drills at school. He was calm throughout the whole thing. I was so impressed. He kept us calm. He's the one that's like, Mom, stop talking. They can hear you. We got to be quiet, because I was trying to find Avery. I was very impressed with him. The three of us, the other, my daughter and my husband and I, we were panicking. My husband's trying to find a doorway to get out of here, because at the Union, the doors down in the basement were locked. We couldn't get out of the building. So we were kind of at a dead end with about 75 other people, not knowing where the shooter even was. And, you know, I give my son props. He was calm throughout the whole thing. He kind of told us where to go, you know, stay calm, Mom, you know, we've got this. And as soon as the service elevators opened, there were 2 cops right there with guns drawn, and they directed us out of the building, and everybody just made a beeline across Tennessee Street to get to safety.
When you saw those police officers, did you know you were okay?
Yeah, well, we were praying that we were okay at that point, but it was a huge relief to see them. Because like I said, you open the doors, we didn't know where the shooter was. We didn't know what we were opening the doors to. And to see them was just tears flowing down everyone's eyes, because we all knew that we would be okay by that point.
Where is Avery right now, and how is she doing?
We are all in the car. She is okay. She's got a hurt elbow, but you know, God was looking out for everybody that day in the building, and we are safe and heading home to go hug our dog.
How did she hurt her elbow?
When we were, like I said, we were downstairs in the basement. There's a restaurant down there, and as everybody was rushing to get out of the restaurant, she got trampled over and ended up on the ground. And so people just kept stepping over her and stepping on top of her. So that's how she hurt herself.
Wow.
Ellie,
yeah, it was a panic.
Eli, if you could, as you all got into your car, I mean, we're seeing these pictures as you're speaking with us from the campus, from inside of the Union. We were seeing some live shots from outside of campus and what it looks like right now. But when you all, you know, were in that church, when you finally were able to start making it to your vehicle, what did it look like?
A war zone. I've never seen so many cops. Florida Wildlife was there, FBI was there, helicopters were everywhere. I mean, I will give props to the Tallahassee police, FSU police. They locked down that campus quicker than I could have ever imagined.
You know, we all think, you know, nothing like this will ever happen to us. This happened to you and your family. What do you take away from this, and how do you think you're going to feel going forward as your kids go off to college?
Very scared. You know, you're already scared sending your children off to school, and you have that fear that have you raised them well to make good choices and to make smart decisions. And yeah, the fear is going to be there definitely now, but you know, I have to trust that they're going to be okay. And you know, I can't live in fear for the rest of my life. So it is going to, you know, I will be more alert when I go places and, you know, and so forth. But, you know, I have to trust that they're going to be safe as they venture on into college and even after that.
And as you all were walking around, there was no indication. I mean, there weren't red flags out there saying, hey, this is getting ready to happen.
Not at all. Not at all. We literally had just left a tour at the College of Business, which is right next to the student union. We walked into the student union, asked the lady at the front desk where we should eat. She recommended the place downstairs, and we hadn't even, Avery sat down for about 15 seconds, and we were at the counter getting ready to order our lunch when we heard the gunshots come out.
Eli, describe for me, if you can, just as you saw. I mean, obviously, it was a joyful reunion with Avery there when you guys found each other. Can you describe for me the kind of emotion that you saw? I know there were some parents on campus, other parents on campus, and just students in general. What kind of emotion did you see in the aftermath?
You know, we were only, you know, like I said, we were across Tennessee Street in the church, and there were probably only about 40 evacuees in the church. You know, people were crying. They're calling their families. It was really hard to see as a parent, because a lot of these kids were students that calling their mom and dad to tell them that they love them and that they were okay, and that, you know, there was an active shooter on campus, and just that they loved their parents, and, you know, they crying and couldn't get off the phone with their parents. So that broke my heart as a parent watching this. So I'm trying to hug these students, tell them it's going to be okay as much as I can. You know, you just never think anything like this is going to happen. It's awful what's going on.
Yeah.
You mentioned with your two twins that you all debriefed when you got into the car. What do you even begin to say to a child?
Well, that's the hard part. I mean, the first thing is you say you're blessed that we made it. that no one, that the four of us are heading home back to Tampa. And then we just kind of talked about the day. It's kind of sad that here we are on this beautiful campus touring the college, which is, my kids fell in love with it. And within 5 minutes of sitting down, your whole life changes and you're running away. I mean, we thought we were dying. My husband and I, after an hour after it happened, we looked at each other and we looked at each other and we said we thought we were going to die. I mean, running out of the building, you don't know where the shooter is. You don't know if you're running and he's behind you, or if there's another shooter, or if a third shooter. It's just the unknown is scary about it all. So I think it'll take us a while to really, digest what we were part of today. But like I said, I'm just glad we're all safe, and we're sending prayers and hugs to the victims and their families for those that were affected.
Kids are so full of energy and hope, and we hope in this instance that kids are full of resilience too, and can move on without the trauma. We know there will be trauma, but you hope that they can still have that energy and hope for the future when something like this happens.
Right. I mean, that we can only hope that they do that, and I think they will.
I'm sure they will.
My chest still hurts, so I was shaking, and everybody was crying, and kids are resilient, so they will get through this, I think, better than the adults will.
Yeah, I will say that anybody who's a parent out there can appreciate and understand the fear that you felt, and the sadness that you feel today, having gone through something like this. So we are all thinking about you and your great kids there too, and praying for you and praying for their future and all the students at Florida State University.
Yes, our prayers go out to everyone there.
Eli,
so just hug your families tonight. Tell them you love them.
We'll do that. All right. Thank you.
Eli, thank you, and safe travels back to Tampa. Might be.
Thank you, guys.
The longest and the
Appreciate
quickest
the story.
Yeah.
Well.
It's going pretty fast, so we're just ready to get home.
I'm sure you are. Well, we really appreciate you sharing your story with us, a tragic one, but we certainly know it's multiplied by many, many people. And they're, in some ways, fortunately, they were nearby, so they got that, they could quickly reunite.
But to be separated from your child in the midst of all of that.
But I guess what I mean is there are parents all over the country, all over the world, who don't know what happened to their child and worried during those moments. So, wow. Yeah, that's quite a story.
Well, if you're just now joining us, we do want to let you know what's happening, the information that we have at this point. We know that one person is in custody. The threat has been neutralized, as Florida State shared with students about an hour ago. There are 6 people who are hospitalized. We also know that one person is reported dead in this situation. FBI, Tallahassee law enforcement, FWC, ATF, a huge response from law enforcement on campus right now, and we're expecting to hear from them in a little less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, so at 4:30 we're expecting an update, a news conference, but first we want to hear from another student here to give us an idea of what they witnessed.
This is when things like this happen constantly and then there's no change around it, it ruins our future. You have friends that get affected by it. You have to grow up constantly knowing that this is happening around you and no one does anything about it. How do you reason with that? I have to go back to school tomorrow, right? I have to go and my friends who were actually there when this happened have to go back to school tomorrow and act as if this is okay and it's normal, because it is normal now. It's genuinely our normality, and there's nothing being done to change that, it seems like, because we've been doing this for years upon years. This campus is a 2-minute walk from the Capitol. A 2-minute walk. I could walk to the Capitol right now. And I think if I were to ask those senators how they feel about this, they'd probably say thoughts and prayers. It's sad. But this is the type of stuff that they're allowing. It's not sane. It's not how it should be. It's not even close to how it should be. You can't do this constantly, but it's what we're doing. And that's not how that should be at all. It's not normal. It's not normal. I shouldn't have 100 misread text messages asking me if I'm okay on a school campus. He shouldn't have to worry about that. She shouldn't have to worry about that. None of these people here should have to worry about that, but that's what we're dealing with. And it's disgusting is what it is.
Important perspective there. I know I've been in news a long time. I've covered so many of these over the years, and it is alarming how often we see them in terms of mass shootings and active shooters. And your heart sinks when you see these alerts come out on your phone. Yeah. You and I have talked about this. The first mass shooting that I ever covered was on a college campus. It was at Virginia Tech. Right. And those are the conversations and the images that I will never get out of my head. And to know, parents right now saying, okay, are my kids safe? What's happening? Right, your children are safe right now. The threat has been neutralized. They are right now on campus. They're investigating, and these are the questions that are going to come up about gun safety, and of course conversations about campus security and all of these things. That will happen in the coming days. Right now, it's important to know that everyone is safe at this point. There are, however, 6 people who are in the hospital. And I think to that student's point, though, so people are safe currently on the Florida State University campus, right. But what's to say there will not be another shooting tomorrow, the day after, or whatever? And I think that's what that student's point was. This just continues, and those students have to go back to class. Was his point there? I think it's also important to point out this is happening during the Holy Week too, as we approach Easter, and a time when we all reflect, but also as you look forward to kind of being with family and that celebration of life, and then to have something like this really rock that is a kind of a lot to reconcile. All right, we want to go to another student and their reaction to what happened, their experience.
Talk about what happened.
Yeah, I was in class and it was about 1 o'clock and the shots rang out and we were like, is that construction going on or what was happening? And so we got up, looked out the window, and I remember looking outside and hearing 5 more shots go off. And I was like, what's going on? So I saw kids running away from the student union, and I walked away from the window, then I walked back to the window and heard 6, 7 more shots ring out. And at that point we were like, okay, there's a shooting going on. So we ran from our classroom, went to the offices, locked the doors, barricaded ourselves in there, and then we waited and was looking out the window again and saw the SWAT teams pull up, the police cars, the FBI come, and at that point we're like, okay, we got to bunker ourselves in. And we were praying, we're like, okay, something's got to change here. And the SWAT team came into the room, they're like, stay where you are, don't move. And we were in there for about 30 minutes. And at that point we were escorted out. About 100 SWATs were inside the building, and our hands were up. And so then we were escorted outside past the union and then into a safe space.
What was going through your mind when all this was unfolding?
Yeah, I was completely in shock. I didn't think this could happen at Florida State. I mean, we're a pretty safe campus, but yeah, this is just like unheard of to me. I never had been in a school shooting before, active shooter. This is like first time for me, and I was honestly in shock. My hands were shaking, just adrenaline kicked in, and I really didn't know what to do. I started tearing up, just like I was scared, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you just saw, you just heard the shots. You didn't see anything.
Yeah, I didn't see the shooter, but I saw the kids running away. I heard some screaming. Yeah, and the shots, like 3 rounds of like 5 shots, and then 7 shots. So it must have been some back and forth going on. Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you doing now?
Good. I've recovered a lot. A lot of people have been texting me. People from out of state, University of Michigan friends have been texting me. People from South Florida have been texting me. People from high school have been texting me. Doing a lot better. It's been a great community that has surrounded me since then. I definitely didn't think I'd be traumatized as much as I have. Definitely not being on the scene, but being kind of away from it. But yeah, it's been scary. So I'm doing a lot better now. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Is there anything that you wish would have happened differently?
Yeah, no, I think the police responded very quickly. I think they did a great job. Yeah, I don't really know what could have happened. Maybe there's more police presence at certain areas for there not to be a shooter. I mean, I think that's just like the most obvious thing, but yeah.
Right now, you are looking live as we are awaiting law enforcement and other members of the Florida State University campus to brief the media, let us know the very latest on the situation. We do know that the lockdown has been lifted. There are campus buildings that remain closed for the investigation, but that will take some time. Yeah. I also want to point out that graduation is just a couple of weeks away, so this came at the very end of school for so many students around here. They are looking into the background of this suspected shooter here. That information will come in. They're pretty methodical about this in these kind of active shooter investigations and figuring out what the motivation was. Was it targeted shooting? Was it random? What was taking place here? What we do know is the death toll and the injuries. One person dead, at least 6 people injured. And as we've seen in a lot of these, oftentimes those numbers begin to rise. And we've heard from students who were in so many different places on campus when this happened. We've heard from families who were there for college tours for their children, and other parents who are on campus, other adults that are there as well. And really, just the chaos that ensued and not knowing where things were, speaking of the active shooter situation, just hoping that they were okay, hoping that the next door was going to be a safe door to open. We are hearing from some of our members of Congress. They are putting information out there on social media. Let's take a look at some of the things they have to say. This is from Mayor Jane Castor of Tampa. Devastated to hear the tragedy in Tallahassee today. More innocent life lost to senseless gun violence, sending love to all FSU students, their loved ones, the first responders, and the medical teams caring for those injured. Also hearing from Sheriff Chad Chronister as well. He also posted, do we have that information as well to share? Can't really read exactly what it says, but of course, letters there. Yeah, condolences and praying, of course, for Florida State. Law enforcement, they prepare, they train for all of these situations and hope that they never have to use that. But let's go right now to Tallahassee, to the campus of Florida State, as we await hearing from members of law enforcement. Yeah, and here on scene, this is likely going to be Tallahassee Police Department, perhaps beginning the news conference, but there will be members of the FBI, ATF there, all federal agencies, local and state agencies as well. We lost that signal for just a second, but we'll get that right back. But again, this is the investigative part of it. The death toll and the injury toll is what is really alarming at this point. At least 1 dead, at least 6 injured. Those injured were taken to Tallahassee Memorial Health Care, and they confirmed. Okay, let's go to that news conference right now.
At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims of deceased are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions, but needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Revel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here, and we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you were there from social media, please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, President of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital. The First Lady and I met some of our students who were the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers, are absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and Florida Department Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and help us, and to be here today for this press conference. And I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They're treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people and our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled on the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our Employment Assistance Program. And so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community. We're family. And so we'll take care of all of you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you.
All right, at this time we will take a few questions. Let me just reiterate, this was a massive response, a massive response of law enforcement personnel. Our federal, state, local partners have continued to build relationships that long preceded this event. And that came into great play today in the seamless way that we all came together to work these events. But I know you'll have some specific questions. I will tell you right now, we are not going to talk about the victims other than the fact that there are 6 of them, two additional deceased, and then the suspect. So 9 total persons. 9 total persons. Yes, sir.
Have you all been able to talk to the suspect at all? Any idea about motive?
The suspect invoked his rights not to speak to us.
Chief, do we know if the weapon that was used was his parents' service weapon? And if so, what are the rules around storing service weapons in the
Right.
house?
No, that's a good question. This weapon was a weapon that the deputy previously used. A lot of times, many agencies, mine included, when we transition to a new handgun, the officers are allowed to purchase the handgun they used prior. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, but I believe that's the case here. This was a handgun that deputy used prior to them transitioning to a new handgun, and so it was her personal handgun.
Is she on, been put on leave or?
The sheriff would have to speak to that.
We will do a thorough investigation to look at all aspects of it. There's no cause right now that we're aware of that require her to be placed on any kind of suspension or otherwise.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been hearing stuff that it was a deputy who was a school resource officer. Is that true?
That is correct.
Chief, those injured, those killed, are any of those members of law enforcement?
I'm sorry?
And so anyone who died in the shooting or was injured in the shooting, were any of them members of law enforcement, whether it be the
No, they were not.
sheriff's office?
They were not. Yes, sir.
When law enforcement arrived, did the suspects engage with them or did he surrender immediately?
No, they challenged him and ended up shooting. He did not comply with commands and was shot.
Did he fire officers?
I do not believe he fired at officers.
We've heard that Phoenix may be autistic. Are you able to confirm that detail?
I do not have that detail.
Is there an ID of the victims yet?
I'm sorry?
An ID of the victims?
We're not releasing any of the victim information at this time.
Was the officer aware of any behavioral conditions or concerns or threats prior to this incident?
We were not.
How quickly did officers arrive on scene from the 911 call to when they engaged the suspect?
We will get you that information. I don't have that currently. I assume that would be a question that was asked, but I mean, it was almost immediately. That FSU, obviously this is their campus and they patrol it very well. So they were on scene almost immediately, engaged almost immediately. And then everyone else, again, was a massive, very quick response.
I know that you said that the 2 deceased were not students. Do we know of those 5 that were injured or any of them students?
Again, we're not releasing any information on the students on the victims at this point.
Specifically, what firearm did he use?
I'm sorry?
What kind of firearm was he using?
It was a handgun.
What kind of handgun?
I don't know what type of handgun that was. It was probably a 40. I don't know. Yeah.
Chief, I heard a report that a shotgun was also recovered on campus. Was that used in the shooting?
We do know that he had a shotgun with him. We have not confirmed anyone was shot with a shotgun at this point. But again, that could change as we, again, there are hundreds and hundreds of witnesses, and as we piece all of this back together, information will come to light that we may not have at this point. So I do not believe so at this point.
We'll take one more question.
Do we know how many shots?
Radio dispatch or any logs be released in the near future?
I'm sorry, say again.
Will there be any body cam footage or radio dispatch logs or incident reports being released anytime soon?
We will work with the state attorney's office, which we always do, in pulling together all the information, all the investigative evidence from this case, and then collaboration with State Attorney Campbell, we will make that determination. Obviously, after the case is over, we will certainly, it all becomes available at that point. But as to what we can and will release at that point, like I said before, we're very open, transparent on these things. Again, the officers did an incredible job. But again, some of this is very horrific. This is a horrific incident. And so we will, again, collaborate with the state attorney's office and determine which of that evidence could be released or will not be released. But again, I'll let you know that as soon as we make that determination. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here. And just let me reiterate what's already been said. The collaboration between all of the agencies, the federal, the state, the local, all of our first responders, our EMS personnel, our fire department, again, just a massive response, immediate treatment to the victims that were there, the transport of them. Again, it was a very seamless response to this tragedy. And that goes to the training that we all do repeatedly, individually as agencies and together. The incident command came together very, very quickly. And again, I could not be more proud of the response and more horrified at the act. So thank you very much.
Can you please just real quick verify again one more time the number of people injured and dead? Our number was 8. I heard you say 9.
Sure. Total number of 9, and that includes the suspect. So there are 6 victims that are injured, 2 victims that are dead, and 1 suspect. And that's let me just reiterate this because I'm not sure we said this. We have no reason to believe at this point that he did not act alone. So there is no further threat to our community at this point. So thank you very much.
All right, if you are just now joining us, we continue to follow the breaking news from the campus of Florida State University, a deadly shooting. Just hearing that 9 people have been shot involved in this incident. The son of a Leon County deputy, and officials saying he used his mother's weapon to carry out this violence.
Yeah, they said it was a previous service weapon that was used there. A surprising news conference in the amount of detail that they did give us. The suspect's name is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, again, the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy, mother, a school resource officer. What was interesting in that news conference, they talked about their familiarity with him. They know him well, the Leon County Sheriff's Office does, because he's part of an advisory council there as well. That is close to the Leon County Sheriff's Office family. Obviously, a family member is part of the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, as soon as we received that name, the entire newsroom started doing some background searching. So, of course, we will bring you more details on that situation. I know throughout the day, Dave, we have been showcasing some of the video from the scene of what took place. If we have that map right there shows Tallahassee, and then it shows the student union right there on the campus of Florida State University. Earlier today, we spoke with a student who says he was just about 3 minutes from the student union, but as students were making their way through the hallways under this some 3 hours of lockdown, this is what it looked like. Hands raised.
Right, and we are told that the gunman used a handgun, but they also recovered a shotgun. They do not know if that shotgun was used, but you see the police tape, the crime scene tape right there. A number of areas are sealed off, and school is closed at least through tomorrow at Florida State, and all the weekend activities, sports activities and other activities, those have been canceled as well, at least postponed at this point.
And you mentioned Florida State canceling all those activities for obvious reasons. That right there, a live look at the scene as we're panning across and seeing some of the caution tape. A lot of areas cordoned off at this hour. However, Florida A&M University, FAMU, issuing some of the same protocol because it is so close in proximity with students having some of their events canceled. Just for cautionary reasons, they're, again, opening the campus, but it's an active scene.
That's right. We should also mention here that the gunman is in the hospital. They've had a chance to talk to the gunman. As far as motivation, we don't know at this point. They said that the gunman invoked his right to remain silent. They do believe, though, he acted alone.
9 people shot. That includes the suspect. 6 victims, they say 2 people dead.
Right. They said that the gunman was a current FSU student. The 2 people who are dead are not students, they mentioned, but there are an additional 6 victims injured. We spoke earlier, a little while ago, with a parent there of a student. They were on campus for a student visit, and they were separated from their daughter.
My goodness.
This was Eli Penta, and said basically it was fear of not knowing how our daughter's doing, inability to connect. But her daughter was injured because so many students were running that she fell down and was trampled. So she injured her elbow. But they are on their way back to South Tampa right now, and grateful for it, grateful that they're okay. They ran to a Catholic church and began to pray, and there were others in there as well, they said, who were crying, praying, calling on the phone, letting family members know they're okay.
It runs the gamut. In fact, we heard from a pastor who said something along the same line, sending thoughts and prayers to the situation, but also wanting to bolster that with some sort of action and fear. Of course, fear, right? When something like that happens, there's pandemonium. People know that they need to go somewhere, but they don't know exactly where they can and should go. Should they shelter in place? Is that even a safe option?
Exactly. We talked to a student, Anna Tate. I asked her how much accurate information were you getting at the time, how much misinformation and disinformation. She said it was about 50-50. So, in the moment.
Your mind is racing.
Yeah, who do you believe? And it shows both the beauty and the curse of social media and how quickly information is disseminated. It's hard for people to separate fact from fiction, particularly when something like this is going on.
Yeah, minutes, seconds are everything in a situation like that. We do know that this was a collaborative effort, federal, state, local, and everything in between with people reporting information. I want to give you this as well if you're standing by with photos or video, because they are reviewing all of that. Here you go. Digital Tips Media. They want you to upload the video and the photos that you may have, and that is www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I'm gonna give it to you again. www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. We'll provide that throughout the hour so that you can make sure that you can upload so they can learn more about this situation that happened right there on the campus of Florida State University. This, we learned, happened just before noon today.
Right. There, as they mentioned, multiple crime scenes, hundreds of witnesses. So you can imagine where those stories or any personal information that people have about the shooting, the suspect, anything that they saw that may be helpful in trying to piece together this investigation. These kind of things take a long time. We've quickly gotten information about who the suspect is here, but motivation, those kind of things, that often takes some time. They will look, obviously, at his at computers, any kind of computer activity he had, any kind of phone conversations, who he may have been in contact with. They believe he acted alone, but they'll make sure in the days and months to come.
The operative word that you used right there was quickly, and they did allude to that several times in that news conference that we just heard from, saying that their crews were able to get on the scene and respond to this situation quickly to neutralize that threat. And that shooter that you made mention of, the 20-year-old student, they say he is in the hospital as well, among the people who were shot in this violence that took place just before noon today.
But again, he is not talking at this point, so he'll I'm sure lawyer up and then it'll work its way through the judicial system. We do not know his condition or what kind of injuries he has, but he is listed among the 9 people injured or dead in this. You see some of the students there. Frank, you talked about students walking through the hallways with their hands up. A lot of these kids grew up active shooter drills. We talked to one though, and that was Anna Tate, and she said that she was never. She was from Tampa, South Tampa. She said she was never trained in this, and one of her professors, her teacher, didn't really know what to do either at the time. So you can imagine being in that situation, how confusing this is, and trying to wrap your head around, is this real, is this not real, where do we go, what's safe?
Everybody responds differently under pressure as well. I mean, you hate to even think about the fact that this, indeed, these are the times, this is muscle memory that has been put in place from all the drills that do take place. These crews, as I talked about earlier today, they do everything they can to refine their plans so that they can cover everything, but you have to keep in mind everything is a lot to cover.
Right, and we also heard from a student a little while ago who talked about his frustration. You know, when is something going to be done? We hear this after every single one of these mass shootings. When's something going to be done? He mentioned that this campus is just basically a stone's throw from the from the legislature, you know, and the governor's mansion, and yet he feels frustrated because he said, we have to go back to school tomorrow, not knowing whether we're going to be safe, for the next shooting.
Right, and everybody said, I never would have imagined that this would have been me. That's how it always plays out. Of course, we will continue to keep you updated on the latest details of this situation.
Yeah, 10 Tampa Bay continues in just a moment.